Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The game comes true. I created the first Immortal clan in all eternity. Chapter 1. The first monastic institution in California, China. On the way home from school, unlike the students flying swords in the sky, Li Shang moved the ring in his hand and a sports car appeared on the road. Hey, you can race cars even if you're underage, so you don't have to worry about traffic jams after school. Then he pressed the token in his hand on the steering wheel of the sports car, started the sports car and headed home, a magical world. Even though he has traveled through time for 3 years, Li Shang still feels the wonder of this world from time to time. In fact, thousands of years ago, this world was similar to the blue star he used to live in. But later, the spiritual energy revived, and the world became one where technology and cultivation were integrated. China, with its long civilization, naturally became the only country in the world, and a new era came. Everyone practices cultivation in order to seek immortality. In a short period of time, China even embarked on an interstellar journey. Look, isn't this the young master of the Li family? He came out with his magical weapon again. I heard that it cost a lot of spiritual stones to create this magical weapon. It takes at least 3 low-grade spiritual stones to go to and from school in a day. It's great to have money. TCH, what's there to be so proud about? Isn't he just an ordinary miscellaneous spirit root like us? I heard that he was kicked out by the Li family. The other young masters of the Li family say that he is the disgrace of the Li family. Quote. There are many students on the roadside who are unable to fly with swords and have no money to buy magic weapons. Li Shang usually drives a sports car that consumes spiritual stones, so he naturally becomes the center of attention. Listening to the passers-by talking, Li Shang was not angry. Putting on his sunglasses, he glanced at the students in the rearview mirror who were still looking at him whispering jealously. He held the steering wheel with one hand, put the other hand out of the car, extended a middle finger, and then started the sports car and drove away. Go. After messing around with these people, he might as well go home and play games early. Soon Li Shang bought the groceries and drove back to Jishenjuang. The old man who was guarding the high-level Dongfu district Dharma array was eating rice with whole grains and gnawing on chicken legs. When he heard the sound of the accelerator, he put down his rice bowl and said cordially. D opened the magic circle for Li Shang. Master Xiao Li, you went all the way to buy groceries again. Isn't the high-grade Bigu pill delicious? Uncle Chen. Li Shang smiled and replied, no matter how advanced Bigu pill is, it's just worthless. No matter how much we practice, we can't make it taste bitter, right? What's the point of not practicing? Hearing this, Uncle Chen's eyes lit up, and he gave a thumbs up with deep sympathy. What you said makes sense. No matter what Bigu pills you take these days to keep your body pure, it's all because you are mentally retarded and don't have an open-minded mind to practice immortality. Uncle Chen, I can go back and cook. Li Shang drove the car towards the villa area. When passing by, he met some uncles, aunts, or old people who had lived for an unknown number of years, and they all greeted each other with a smile. The monks in Shenjuang in this episode are different from those students. The long years have long made them understand the world better, and they don't mind that Li Shang is a young man and has the rumored qualifications of a miscellaneous spirit. They all responded warmly and friendly. After all, everyone knows that those who can live here are not simple people. The caves in the villa area are actually no different from ordinary villas, but most of them have their own caves. And the cave he was in, Jishenjuang No. 1, was at the end of Jishenjuang. As soon as Li Zhang's car drove back, a fairy-like girl came into view. She was dressed in a white maid outfit. Her pair of slender white silk legs under the apron were particularly hard to take away, especially her long sleeves at the temples under her bangs. There is a very charming face between them. Even though he had been with this puppet for 3 years, Li Shang still almost lost his mind under her eyes that were bent downward and seemed to be smiling. Welcome home, master. The puppet's voice was like a clear spring, and his heart, which was agitated by studying at school during the day, instantly melted away. Yuexian, drive the car back to the garage. Li wanted to throw a bunch of keys to the puppet. There are a lot of vegetables in the space in the front trunk. You can just cook the vegetables today and bring them to my room. I plan to spend these 2 days playing games during the holidays. Good master. Yuexian asked and nodded, and when Li Shang stepped back to the door of the villa, he said, "By the way, Master, your family's spiritual stone salary for this month has not been delivered yet, and we don't have many spiritual stones in our account." "Yes, do you need me to contact them?" Even Li Shang didn't know what level this puppet was. In his memory, it had been taking care of his daily life since he was born. It was many times more powerful than the advanced artificial intelligence Li Shang knew in his previous life. "Not delivered yet," Li Shang frowned and said, "Call to urge me. By the way, call Lao Gui first. He is one of our own. Let's see what's going on first." "Yes, Master." Hearing Yuexian's response, Li didn't care and returned to the room. There are many aristocratic families throughout California, and the Li family is definitely among the best. However, Li Shang actually didn't know much about the Li family. Anyway, he didn't know whether it was because of his poor qualifications or the poor relationship between his missing parents and the family. He had already lived in Jishenjuang, led by Yuexian. Bring up. I have met the Li family more times in my life than I have spent with the uncles and aunts of Jishenjuang. As a direct descendant of the family, Li Shang received a lot of pocket money every month for daily expenses even though he did not grow up in the family. I heard from the elders of the family that it was because his parents made great contributions to the Li family. In the future, as long as the Li family survives, his lineage will be enshrined by the Li family forever. So Li Shang is not worried about life at all. Back in the room, Li Shang sat in front of the computer, lost in thought for a long time. It seems that in this life, I can only show off. As he spoke, Li Shang smiled and turned on the computer. This kind of life can be said to be the life he dreams of. Being a rich N generation directly allows him to live comfortably. He is also satisfied with the status quo. As long as he does not seek death, his life is enough to be envied. Li Shang even planned an ordinary and carefree future. Although Li Shang was startled for a moment, he thought of the magnificent lives of the masters in this world. They could see a wider world in the starry sky, but he could only stay in Jishenjuang all his life. "I'm really greedy." Li wanted to laugh at himself, but at this time the computer was turned on. Although this world is a cultivator, games also exist as a way for contemporary idlers like him to pass the time. However, it is more of a VR game, and at the same time it trains the monks' reaction speed, which can be regarded as a kind of alternative science popularization. But Li Shang prefers to play some traditional games from his previous life, just like the old antique games he still uses a mouse to play now. After all, current VR games are more about fighting and killing, and you will get tired of them if you play too much. He opened the ancient games that Yuexian finally found. These games were copied from a 1,000-year-old computer that Yuexian bought from the antique market. They were as old as his computer. Looking left and right, Li Shang didn't click on the game for a while. After all, he was tired of playing most of them. After thinking about it, Li wanted to open the folder and see if there was anything new that had been forgotten in the folder. Just when Li was looking for it, a game file came into view. Shoxian Family Simulator. Is it a business type? With the mentality of playing new tricks, Li Shang opened the game. In an instant the screen loads. The simple painting style comes into view. Even in the era of Li Zhang's previous life, this game looked very retro. On a landscape painting, a small wooden house gradually appeared. A young man arranged a memorial tablet and burned incense in front of a copper stove. On this day, your only living descendant is worshipping you. As a slave, he doesn't even have a last name. He only heard from others that kneeling down and worshipping his ancestors will bring them blessings. Please establish a surname for this family that is about to rise or disappear from the world. _home. Puff. Li Shang, who was drinking his drink, almost spat out. Was it such a miserable start? Is there only one person in the entire clan's household registration? However, Li Shang still entered Li family according to the game interface. After entering your last name, the interface of the game has begun to change, but it is still as simple as ever. Li Shang checked it out a little. There is a time rate pulley on the left, which is 1 hour per year, real time. No pause option. Li Shang checked it and found that it seemed that it would only be paused when worshipping ancestors or encountering special events, and the ancestor worship activities would be automatically cancelled after 5 minutes. And now the beginning is the first ancestor worship. However, it seems to be a tutorial for beginners. On the screen, the Li family's memorial tablet appears out of nowhere, with a big Chinese character Li appearing. The only descendant of the Li family saw the change of the tablet, and a line of large characters appeared above his head. My ancestors showed up. My surname is Li. I finally have a surname, ha ha ha. Seeing the ecstatic expressions of Li's descendants, Li Shang didn't know whether to laugh or be moved by him. After all, he couldn't empathize with a game NPC. And at the same time, there is a large black interface on the right side of the game screen, and a line of words appears. Your descendants felt your presence and were ecstatic. He named himself Li Delong. Incense +1. And on the list members, Li Shang actually saw the family tree. First generation member, Li Delong. He can even view Li Delong's personal information. Well, he is a completely ordinary person. Cultivation family simulator. Does it mean that I can only watch the family grow up? Li Shang still doesn't understand this game very well. Your descendants are worshipping their ancestors, a grand ceremony every 10 years. Sacrifice. A pile of burnt yellow paper ashes. Do you want to take it out? What do you want this for? Although he didn't see the existence of the equipment column, Li Shang still clicked, no. You canceled the sacrifice. A gust of wind blows across the painting, and the ashes of burned yellow paper scatter with the wind. But the only descendant of the Li family was panicked. Ancestor, please calm down. Your unfilial descendants are useless. I couldn't give you a sacrifice that would make you happy. This time of worshipping ancestors, do you plan to bestow gifts on your descendants? Looking at the picture, Li Shang was stunned. His hand holding the drink was suspended in the air, even trembling slightly. His eyes were getting wider and wider, and his mouth was opening wider and wider. Not because of the game graphics, but an incense burner that shouldn't exist appeared next to the computer on the messy desktop. Li Shang could even smell the smoke of yellow paper that had just been burnt on the incense burner. This incense burner is exactly the same as the one Li Shang saw on the altar in the picture. Day. Game, incense burner. Game, incense burner. Li Shang stared at the computer screen dumbfounded, his brain running extremely fast. This world is originally a world of immortality, and anything can happen. Besides, he is a time traveler, and he has seen too many strange things. He understood immediately that this was more than just a game. This computer was dug out of an ancient tomb. In other words, it is very possible that the game in this computer was originally a cheat, and it accidentally became his. The two options of sacrifice and gift are the channels through which this golden finger can bring benefits to him. Through gift, the descendants in the game will become stronger, and they will be able to obtain precious items in the game world to feed back. You can get sacrifice through the incense burner. So now, I must do everything possible to help Li Delong grow. In the room, apart from the gentle sound of music, Li Shang could even hear his own heartbeat. But even so, Li Shang is still keeping calm. He has a terrifyingly calm character. In this episode, the uncle and aunt in Shenjuang even suspected that the entire planet had exploded, but Li Shang didn't panic. The time it takes to look at the screen in the game. Please put your gifts into the incense burner. 3:45. Time is passing. If time returns to 0 and he has not given Li Delong a reward, then the next ancestor worship time will be 10 years later, and Li Delong is already 20 years old. I am afraid that Li Delong, who has no ability, will starve to death. Li Shang stood up suddenly, looking around the whole room while thinking about useful information. So what should I give him now? Food? No, he was born a slave. Since he can escape, there is no problem in finding a way to fill his stomach in a short time. Give him the spirit stone. No, Li Delong is just an ordinary person. A common man is not guilty, but the man with the jade is guilty. Practice the method, yes. Only by strengthening his body can he survive and grow his family in these 10 years. Li Shang quickly searched the room. Finally, he found a dark stone, and with trembling hands, he carefully put the stone in when there was still 1 o'clock left in the gift time. At this time, the words, game system, appeared on the screen again. Checking the gift you sent. Chi Refiner's Practice Manual. Would you like to send it? Li Shang clicked, yes, without hesitation. This, Qi Refiner's Cultivation Manual, is attached to the discarded spiritual stone using modern technology. It combines the essence of cultivation during the Qi refining period condensed by many monks and professors in China over the past 1,000 years. It is also the prenatal education level cultivation textbook for all cultivation colleges in China. No doubt, this is the most suitable course for Li Delong to learn. Only by controlling power can Li Delong improve his chances of survival in the game world and lay a solid foundation for his family's future. At this time, Li Delong was holding the gift on the screen, and he seemed to understand something all of a sudden, and kowtowed in front of the altar to thank unfilial descendants, thank the ancestors for the reward, and they will definitely live up to the high expectations of the ancestors. Gulu gulu. Li Shang simply put his legs on the gaming chair and took a sip of his drink. You really can't live up to my high expectations. Come on, survive, give birth to children ferociously, and strengthen your clan. Immediately increase the time flow speed of the pulley in the game interface to the fastest speed. Soon the altar in the game interface disappeared, leaving only a small shabby room. But under Li Zhang's attentive gaze, Li Delong's living environment changed slightly. A field gradually formed next to the house. The original wooden houses also slowly began to be piled with stones. There is a pole outside the house for drying dried meat. There are more trees around. A full hour passed. It was like he was peeking into a person's life. All this made Li Shang feel very strange. Your descendant Li Delong has become accustomed to living alone in the mountains. He worked hard to practice the Qi Refining Practitioner Manual, and finally became a Qi Refining Stage Monk. Ancestors bless you. Li wanted to see Li Delong prostrating on the altar again. Incense +2. Finally a breakthrough. Also delighted was Li Shang, who checked Li Delong's information. In a long list of data, he found the key information. Trait: working hard to become stronger. Although my qualifications are very poor, I work harder than anyone else. As expected of my descendants, they face life as actively as I do. Praise was given. Then Li wanted to restore the flow of time to the same speed as reality, and after calculating the time, it was time to eat. He walked to the dining room, and there were already meals on the table, 2 dishes and 1 soup. He poured a bowl of soup and took a sip, then simply put the food into the bowl and asked Yuexian, who was looking at him doubtfully, "Have you contacted the old ghost?" "What should I say?" Yuexian replied. "I contacted them all, but the old ghost didn't reply, and neither did the other members of the Li family." Li Shang paused and frowned. It stands to reason that even if they want to deliberately delay my pocket money, they would not dare to ignore me. So, you go to cave number 8 in person and leave a message. Uncle Chin there every day he will go out, so ask him to help ask when he goes out. Yes, master. After giving the instructions, Li Shang hurriedly went back to the room to continue the game. Pocket money is pocket money, but now Li Shang clearly knows that a huge opportunity is in front of him. The most important thing is to take Shu Xian Family Simulator seriously, and other things must be put aside. When he arrived at the door, Li Shang paused. He glanced at Yuexian, who was about to clear the table, and said, "By the way, pack these meals." Yuexian has already prepared the packaging box. Understood, master. As before, send it to the guard, old man Chen. Right. Back in the room, Li Shang found that the time speed was set to the same as real time, and then clicked on Li Delong in the genealogy list. The game interface actually began to switch to an environment other than the group location. In the upper right corner of the game, Map Wild Boar Forest appears. At this time, the screen was displayed in a forest, with Li Delong's animated character appearing, and in addition there were several wild boars. The large annotation of member actions in the lower right corner also records Li Delong's member actions. Some wild boars destroyed the vegetable fields many times. Li Delong learned a lesson and vowed to take revenge. Li wanted to speed up the time immediately, but soon slowed down the time. Special event. The descendant Li Delong encountered the wild boar king because he was fighting a wild boar and was slightly injured. Should I use the ancestral blessing? Ancestral blessing. 1. Love from ancestors. 2. Charge, kids. 3. 15. Resurrect my descendants. What is this mess? Li Shang scratched his head and quickly clicked to check. It seemed that when his descendants encountered enemies, as an ancestor, he could consume the ability of incense. Now, all he can use is the love from his ancestors, which can slightly heal his descendants by consuming 2 points of incense. As for resurrect my descendants, it requires a terrifying amount of incense. Li Shang did not hesitate to use some incense to treat his only descendant. The ancestor has shown his spirit again. Li Delong's game villain is grateful. Not long after Li wanted to speed up time, he soon saw Li Delong kowtowing on the altar again. Li Delong is grateful to his ancestors for their blessing. Incense +2. Li Shang breathed a sigh of relief. This was his only descendant. If Li Delong died, it would be a direct game over. Is this what it feels like to be an ancestor? I am afraid that my bloodline will not be continued. My grandfather was like this at the beginning. I had just entered high school, so he asked me to be a schoolboy and find a wife quickly. Thinking of this, Li Shang couldn't help but smile, and then he felt a little melancholy. I wonder how my family members in other worlds are doing well. He shook his head quickly and stopped thinking about it. Afterwards, he changed to a flat stool, took high-grade spiritual stones and meditated while watching the game screen. Time passes slowly in the game. Li Delong's small broken house turned into a stone house, and the vegetable garden outside began to sprout. Perhaps because he could go into the mountains for hunting, more and more dried meat was dried, and Li Delong even raised a dozen pigs. In the 3rd year, Li Delong successfully broke through to the 2nd level of qi refining. During this period, Li Shang obtained 4 more points of incense. This speed is not slow at all. Li Shang has seen this kid's data. Li Delong practiced as Immortal, starting from nothing, and his qualifications were very poor. Moreover, he had no resources. This was the greatest result that he could achieve through hard work. Right now, Li Shang, who was meditating, suddenly opened his eyes and his eyes brightened. Li Delong went into the city to sell animal skins, intending to exchange some money to buy some elixirs to assist his practice. He met a peasant woman on the way, and the two fell in love. Are you guys enlightened? Don't be fond of me now, just go to the bridal chamber. Li Shang no longer worries about whether the woman is a peasant girl or a rich girl. As long as Li Delong can have a happy marriage, it would be best to turn into a baby-making expert on the spot and continue the Li family's legacy. The scene soon changed. On the screen, Li Delong had already held a girl's hand and returned to the altar in the courtyard of his house. A man and a woman are wearing red makeup. Unfilial descendant Li Delong is getting married to Shu Kuiwa of Zujia village today. I sincerely ask my ancestors for your blessing. Bless you greatly. Li Shang was filled with joy, and immediately found ancestral blessing in the interface, spent 2 points of incense, and used love from ancestors. The ancestor has shown his spirit again. Thank you, ancestors, for helping me. As Li Delong kowtowed, the scene turned into night in an instant, and the only descendant of the Li family took his wife to the bridal chamber on the spot. Li Delong is getting married today. Incense +4. The house is plastered with the word, happy, and it's obvious that tonight will be a sleepless night. Li Shang looked at the picture and was more excited than he was about to enter the bridal chamber. Make a baby, my child, make a baby hard, let the world see our Li family flourish. The descendants have happy marriages, and Li Shang is greatly comforted. Time in the game is passing, and Li Delong and his wife are living a life of men farming and women weaving, and this boy is also working hard to practice. 5th year. With constant efforts, Li Delong broke through the 3rd level of qi refining. In the same year, Shu Kuiwa was pregnant in 10 months and successfully gave birth to a son, named Li Yaozu. Congratulations on adding a new member to the family, incense +10. I'm giving birth, I'm finally giving birth. Double happiness came to his door. Li Shang was also ecstatic and took a big sip of the drink. And in the game screen, Li Delong, who was waiting anxiously outside the house, danced and said, the ancestor appeared and he is a boy. My Li family has an heir. The screen soon changed sharply. Li Delong held his newborn baby and cried bitterly in front of the ancestor altar. Ancestor, look at the fat boy in our family, my son Yaozu has the talent of an immortal. If there is a reward, there must be a reward. Use ancestral blessing love from ancestors, consuming 4 points of incense. In an instant, light enveloped Li Delong and his son in front of the altar. My child, have you seen it? Our ancestors have appeared again. Our ancestors have protected my son from illness and disaster. Get incense +2. After the joy, Li Shang quickly clicked on the newborn's personal information. Compared with Li Delong's miscellaneous spiritual roots, Li Yaozu's qualifications are obviously better. Spiritual roots: metal, wood, water, fire and earth. Mu Ling root, 56. Although it is also a miscellaneous spiritual root, each type of spiritual root also has its advantages and disadvantages. If the spiritual root reaches 100 points, it is a complete spiritual root, and 56 points can be regarded as ordinary. Compared to the 38 points of Li Delong's golden spiritual root, that's much better. My Li family is thriving. Then Li Shang happily asked Yuexian to prepare a midnight snack. After he finished the midnight snack, he began to continue fighting in the room. Immortal cultivators have the benefit of being able to stay up all night without fear of exhaustion. He quietly watched the development of the Li family. Since having a child, the Li family in the game interface has also undergone great changes. Li Delong renovated the house, which became much larger and opened up several acres of fertile land. It seems that there are seasonal changes in the game. Li Shang can even see when the fields are deserted. Fortunately, Li Delong is a practitioner and he is not afraid of going hungry by hunting. It didn't take long. The action section stunned Li Shang for a moment. Li Delong hunted all the wild boars in the wild boar forest and obtained the trait, Wild Boar Killer. Quote ? What is this weird quality? Li wanted to click on it and take a look. Wild Boar Killer. Combat power increased by 10%, damage to pig creatures increased by 200%. Awesome. Li Shang gave a thumbs up. It seemed that future generations had made great progress in a certain field. And after the addition, this small home of the Li family is also full of life. Li Shang even saw Li Yaozu, who was just crawling on the ground, being brought to the altar to worship by Li Delong. Obviously Li Delong also knew that ancestor worship should start from a baby. Get incense +3. Immediately afterwards, Li Shang saw Shu Kuiwa's belly getting bigger again. He looked at the timeline in the game, the 7th year. As expected of my descendants, they are true men. It didn't take long. Shu Kuiwa successfully gave birth to a daughter, named Li Yaoqing. Congratulations to the Li family for successfully adding mouth and getting incense +10. Immediately after the same scene, Li Delong and his family worshipped at the altar again. The unfilial descendants have lived up to the expectations of our ancestors and failed to give birth to a boy this time. Please forgive me. Li Delong cried loudly, as if he had made some mistake. He was holding the ignorant Li Yaozu, while Shu Kuiwa beside him was holding a newborn baby girl, looking depressed. What do you mean? Preferring boys over girls? Li Zhang's face turned dark. In his opinion, as long as future generations can benefit the family, it will be the same for both boys and girls. Neither boys nor girls should be favored over boys. Thought for a moment. Use ancestral blessing love from ancestors, which consumes 2 points of incense. It's just that this time the skill was used only on Li Yaoqing and not on anyone else. And at this moment, Li Delong seemed to understand Li Zhang's meaning instantly, and this time he looked a little frightened when he bowed. Ancestor, calm down, Delong understands. As long as it is a child of our Li family, the child will love it. Thank you, ancestor, for blessing Yaoqing. Get incense +3. Seeing this scene, Li Zhang's expression relaxed slightly. Although he couldn't communicate with people in the game, he could make the other party understand what he meant through other methods. Last time he used love from the ancestor on everyone, but this time it was only given to Li Yaoqing, and the meaning couldn't be more obvious. Then after the family continued to operate, Li Shang took a look at Li Yaoqing's personal information. The children born this time have poor qualifications, even worse than Li Delong. Only Shui Linggan has reached a measly 20 points. But it doesn't matter, as long as the family members increase, they can contribute to the family, and it doesn't matter if there are multiple people farming. Li Shang glanced at the upper right side. It has reached the 8th year, and from time to time, the descendants of the Li family will bow to the altar. Li Shang also gradually understood the conditions for the formation of incense. It probably increased when descendants worshipped devoutly, or when some special event occurred. Now his incense has reached 38 points. At this time, Li Yaozu was already able to run around. Although he was only 3 years old, his body was stronger than that of ordinary children, perhaps because he often ate meat. Li Delong even gave Li Yaozu a wooden sword to let him practice swordplay since he was a child. Cultivation should start from childhood, but 3 years old is obviously not the age to understand how to cultivate. On the other hand, although Li Yaoqing is only 1 year old, he is not very interested in cultivation. Instead, he often crawls towards the vegetable garden in the picture, watching Li Delong irrigate the farmland with curiosity on his face. Then, under Li Zhang's surprised eyes, Li Delong's wife had just given birth to a baby, and she was pregnant again at the beginning of the year. The ancestors bless me, and my unfilial descendant Li Delong and his wife came to worship and thank our ancestors for giving us another son. Bull. Li Shang did not hesitate to send love from the ancestors to Li Delong. Thank you, ancestor. As expected, our ancestors are always paying attention to my unfilial descendants. Don't worry, ancestors. With your blessing, my wife will definitely have more children and bring glory to my Li family. Incense +2. Li Shang was very satisfied. Look at the descendants of Li Delong. Although they have poor qualifications, they are very sensible, especially their fertility, which makes him, the ancestor, a little proud. After cutting off the screen, there is something strange in the member action list. There was a severe drought, and there were more and more children in the family. There were no small animals in the wild boar forest anymore, and the children were tired of eating pork. He decided to look for other food farther away. I plan to hunt more and prepare food reserves for my family. Look, what a responsible child. Li Shang opened the map. Soon I saw Li Delong walking on the map and came to a place called Silver Tilan. It didn't take long for Li Shang to see Li Delong confronting a horse on the screen. Li Delong fought with the monster Tilan Ma and injured Tilan Ma. After chasing for 3 days and 3 nights, he finally caught Tilan Ma. However, in Tilan Ma's pleading eyes, he saw that Tilan Ma had humanity in his heart. Therefore, he let Tilan Ma go and silently stretched his hands to the backpack, secretly walking farther away so that the blood would not splash on him. Unexpectedly, looking at the bow raised by the human in front of him, Tilan Ma suddenly felt grateful, followed Li Delong all the way back to the Li family, and became Li Delong's mount. After owning a monster, Li Dalin specially built a horse stable. In the family home, you can see a horse running happily everywhere. And it didn't take long. The Li family once again received good news, which made Li Shangul happy. Shu Kuiwa successfully gave birth to a son, named Li Yaoti. Congratulations to the Li family for successfully adding a new baby, getting incense +10. 3 kids. According to Li Delong's fertility, sooner or later he will be able to give birth to a football team and go directly to win glory for the national football team. No, give birth to a class. Li Delong's family once again expressed gratitude towards the ancestral tablet. Li Yaoti, who was born this time, has pretty good qualifications. Golden Spiritual Root, 42. Fire Spirit Root, 51. Especially this kid, who didn't know what he ate in his mother's womb, and who had special traits right after he was born, and even pulled out a strand of Li Delong's hair. Trait: strong bones. The bones are larger than those of ordinary children, and the strength is increased by 5%. Ancestor, have you seen that my son Yaoti is very strong, and he will definitely be a good hand at picking up manure in the future. Thank you on behalf of your son Yaoti. Li wanted to be happy for the increase in family members. Li Delong was obviously very diligent and had been hunting in Yin Tilan. However, Yin Tilan seemed to be a place with many monsters. Once, Li Delong, who was on the 4th level of Qi refining, was slightly injured. But Li Shang immediately used love from the ancestor on Li Delong. What surprised Li Shang was that the severe drought, weather in the game world lasted for a long time, and even the fields next to the house were affected. The only daughter of the Li family, Li Yaoqing, was holding the lotus and crying. Time soon came to the 9th year. The severe drought is not over yet, but Li Delong has been prepared. None of his 3 children and his wife went hungry because of this, and the water in the well did not dry up. Just when Li wanted to watch the family slowly grow and wait for the 10th year to come and the incense burner to appear so that he could use the gift, he frowned tightly. Special event. Bandits. In years of severe drought, crops dry up and many people become bandits. 13 thieves visited Li's house late at night. One of the thieves saw the Tilan horse and wanted to steal the Tilan horse. He was kicked to death by the Tilan horse. The movement woke up Li Delong. In the picture, the lights of Li's house were brightly lit late at night. In Li Zhang's eyes, Li Delong rushed out of the room with a hatchet in hand. He raised his knife and roared at the bandits outside the stable. Leave our house, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. In the game, this was the first time that Li Shang saw someone breaking into the family. It seems that farming is not completely honest. There are still certain dangers. Li Shang squinted his eyes slightly and quietly watched how Li Delong would deal with everything in front of him in the game. I saw a line of words appearing above the heads of the bandits. Hand over all your money and food, or we will make you look good. Because of the number of people, the bandits were a little more arrogant. But soon they lost their arrogance. After 10 years of practice, Li Delong has reached the 4th level of Qi refining. The Qi Refiner Training Manual, given by Li Shang, also comes with combat skills and some simple martial arts. What's more, Li Delong is also in the Wild Boar Forest and Silver Iron Forest. There are frequent battles, and the combat effectiveness is already astonishing. How could these bandit teams formed by hungry people be Li Delong's opponents? Moreover, the iron horse in the stable rushed out. Li Delong's wife Xu Kuiwa also showed her strong character. She had been farming and raising her children on weekdays. Now she rushed out of the kitchen with a kitchen knife. She had to show her strong character for the sake of her family. Even the young Li Yaozu rushed out of the room with a wooden sword, and small words appeared above his head. Come to our house to steal things, I will beat you to death. They have monks. Stop fighting. Please spare your life, sir. We won't dare to do it again. As the family rushed to kill, there was also a horse running wild among the bandits. Soon the bandits were defeated and knelt on the ground in front of Li's house. I will spare your lives today. If you dare to come again, I will break your legs. Li Delong stared and shouted. Thank you, sir, we will never dare again. In an instant, the bandits were grateful and were about to leave. Seeing Li Delong showing his kindness, Li Shang frowned deeply. Obviously, before this, Li Delong had been developing his family honestly, even if he killed wild animals and monsters. After all, these bandits are also human beings, and Li Delong also showed enough kindness to his kind. But Li Shang felt that Li Delong's decision to let the bandits go was a big mistake. No matter how these bandits came to the Li family, it is a year of severe drought. They have discovered that the Li family still has enough food. Even if they dare not come, will they bring the news to other bandits? Li Shang took a deep breath and murmured to himself, even if Li Delong is strong enough to defeat these ordinary people, he will always leave home and go hunting. The 3 children have not grown up yet, and Xu Kuiwa is also a slightly stronger woman. What if something happens to them? The mouse slowly moved to Ancestral Blessing. Li Shang found a skill. The Wrath of the Ancestors. Attacks are launched from the ancestral tablets. The more family members there are, the more powerful they are, the stronger their skills are, and the more incense they consume. Use Ancestors' Wrath, consuming 20 points of incense. All of a sudden, the Ancestors' tablet on the altar glowed brightly, and the tablet floated into the air, rushed out of the door of Li's house, and drew a beautiful purple arc in the dark night on the game screen. But this time, Li Shang discovered that he could control the tablets on the screen. The ancestor has shown his spirit again. The Li family immediately knelt on the ground, and even Tilanma also imitated Li Delong and knelt down. What is this? It seems to be a spiritual position. The robbers also turned their heads and looked at the tablet in surprise. Without thinking, Li Shang manipulated the tablets and clicked on the bandit who ran farthest. Then, the token passed through the robber's body. Didn't you agree not to kill us? Run, help, I don't want to die. Please let me go. Li Shang frowned. He was still controlling the mouse, clicking on the bandits who dared to escape. Not to mention that this is a game, even if Li Shang faced such a situation in person, he would make the same choice. Since these guys have already had crooked thoughts about him, They must prevent future troubles, otherwise the grass will be cut without eradicating the root, and the spring breeze will bring new growth. However, Li Shang did not kill all the bandits. Just kill those who dared to escape. There were only 5 bandits left on the screen, and Li Shang began to focus on Li Delong. The ancestors' memorial tablet has stopped. Li Delong looked around, seemingly hesitating. But not long after, he finally stood up, picked up the knife he had just put down, and then rushed towards the bandits with the knife raised. My ancestors are angry, my wife, I understand. Kill them all to protect this family. Thank you, ancestor, for your guidance. Sensible. Li Shang admires this most about Li Delong. This guy is very savvy. These 5 bandits are reserved for Li Delong. The ancestral token returns to its place. Under Li Zhang's watch, Li Delong killed all the robbers in front of his wife and children, and carried the robbers' bodies out of the hospital overnight and dumped them. The eldest son Li Yaozu, who had just ran out with a wooden sword, was still at an ignorant age, but he calmly watched his father carrying the corpse, with a bit of reverence in his small eyes. Your descendants have resolved a family crisis and received incense +1-2. Loots obtained. A small amount of silver, shabby clothes, dung forks. Watching Li Delong kill the family's enemies, the immature children seemed to understand something, and the strange concepts were engraved in the deepest memory. Li Yaozu obtained the trait, killing potential. Killing potential. When fighting enemies, you will become more crazy, your strength will increase by 20%, and your understanding of attack-type martial arts will increase by 5%. Ah, Li Shang was stunned for a moment. He did not expect that this killing would not only kill the enemy, but also bring more than just loot to the Li family. The biggest gain. On the contrary, Li Yaozu, a child who is only 4 years old, has such potential that he is undoubtedly a born killer and warrior. After this night of killing, the Li family has returned to its previous peace. Of course, Li Shang cannot see the overall situation of the changes in the hearts of the descendants of the Li family after killing their enemies. He increased the speed of time again. The Li family is still developing. The Li family's stone house became more and more exquisite, and the original wooden fence, because of previous theft incidents, began to be piled up with stones bit by bit, forming a large yard. They even built a special training ground for practicing martial arts. What surprised Li Shang the most was, when Li Delong went out to hunt in Yintilan, he transported back flat stones and built a small temple piece by piece in the most conspicuous place in the yard, dedicated to the memorial tablets of his ancestors, with everlasting incense. Li Delong and his descendants built an ancestral temple specifically for you, incense +20. A dutiful child. Li Shang touched his chin happily, and then was stunned for a moment. It always felt a bit strange that he was still alive, but his descendants built a temple for him. And as Li Shang waited patiently, finally, the interface ushered in the once-in-a-decade festival. Li Delong, his wife, 3 children, and the Tilan horse arrived in front of the small temple built of stones, lit incense, and began to worship. Unfilial descendants pay homage to our ancestors. Thanks to our ancestors' blessings in the past 10 years, our family can thrive. Li Delong kowtowed repeatedly, and then looked at his eldest son Li Yaozu. Yaozu, quickly send the gold and silver prepared by Dad to the copper furnace to worship the ancestors. You received the sacrifice, 10 pounds of silver and 1 pound of gold. Do you want to take it out? Take a dir. In front of the computer, Li Shang rolled his eyes. In his era, gold and silver were no longer rare items. Even diamonds were left on the street and no one wanted them. The front cover of Li Zhang's sports car was made of pure gold, the villa's bathhouse is decorated with diamonds. He clicked no. Li Delong stared at the ancestral tablet. Our ancestors didn't send that kind of warm gift. Is it because our ancestors don't like gold and silver? Shu Kuiwa asked. Yes, it must be that the ancestor doesn't like it. Li Delong nodded repeatedly. The ancestor is so powerful, these ordinary things can't get into his eyes at all. Yaozu, go to the warehouse to find valuable things, and you must satisfy the ancestor. Looking at the rush of his descendants in the game interface, Li Shang shrugged. In fact, he didn't want any gifts for the time being. After all, the Li family has just started. Where can there be anything valuable? On the contrary, he has prepared this gift as an investment in the growth of the Li family. Only when the Li family becomes stronger can he get something that catches his eye. Soon Li Yaozu was holding a lot of items and placing them in front of the temple. You receive sacrifices. The tendons of the wild boar king, 2 kilograms of black rock ore. Do you want to take it out? A lot of weird stuff. I didn't want it, but this was what future generations wanted. Li Shang rummaged through these items and raised his eyebrows lightly. An object came into view. It was a long gun full of rust. He remembered that it was the gun used by Li Delong for training when he switched the screen before. Mysterious iron gun under seal. The game interface even records the experience of obtaining this spear. It was obtained by Li Delong from a pile of human bones in the Wild Boar King cave when he was hunting in the wild boar forest. Sealed weapon. Li Zhang's expression gradually became solemn. In the world of immortality, everything worthy of being sealed has an extraordinary origin, and at the same time, it may be extremely dangerous. Obviously, Li Delong's shallow cultivation did not realize the preciousness of this iron gun. Take out the spear. Li Shang took out the spear without hesitation. Even he was very interested in this thing. You choose to take out the sacrifice offered by your descendants, the mysterious iron gun. Suddenly, a long spear full of rust appeared in front of the incense burner on the computer desk. Li Shang could smell the rust coming from the iron gun. But at the same time, Li Shang was also attracted by the faint pattern on the spear. It was a pattern engraved with strange words. Li Shang suddenly realized that with his little knowledge, he couldn't see anything. Ignore the spear for now. Li Shang held a brocade box in his hand and placed it in front of the copper stove. You have given your descendants 36 pills of various types. Send it or not. There are 12 qi nourishing pills, which can be used by monks in the qi refining stage to gather the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the Dantian. One pill can reduce the time for monks in the qi refining stage to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth by at least 1 year. There are 12 Tianyuan pills, which can be used by monks in the qi refining period to cleanse the body of impurities. If you take the pills for half a year to practice, you will get divine help. Heaven's secret replenishing pill. As for these last 12 elixirs, Li Shang wonders if they exist in the world of cultivating immortals in the game. But he knew that even on the current earth, the Tianji bowling pill was hard to find on the market. This thing can even have a certain chance of improving a person's spiritual roots in as long as 3 years, it all depends on personal luck. Only the Li family has the recipe for refining such an elixir. In the years of experiments conducted by the Li family elixir manufacturing company, the highest record was a guy with only 24 spiritual roots, who raised his spiritual roots to 50 points in 3 years. Value and the values of other spiritual root enhancements are ignored. It can be called the gospel of monks. Of course, the stronger the medicine is, the higher the drug resistance will be after taking it. The secret replenishing elixir can only be used once in a person's life. The 36 pills are almost 1/10 of the number of pills I have. Looking at the delivered pills, Li Shang didn't feel distressed at all. Because these things were sent by the family over the years, they are all useless to him now. The ancestor has shown his spirit again. It's elixirs. There are many elixirs. It's not easy just to smell these elixirs. Thanks to the ancestor for the gift, I will lead the child to strengthen the clan at all costs. Li Delong's family is grateful. Get incense +16. Li Shang, on the other hand, looked away from the computer screen. He put his hand on the mysterious spear and stroked it gently. A wave of air spread out on the plane of the spear, blowing up the items in the room. Soon a box appeared on the screen. Do you want to spend 1 million incense to lift the seal of the mysterious spear? Quote ? I have accumulated 80 points of incense after a lot of hard work. You want me to have 1 million, why don't you just go and grab it? But at the same time, Li Shang became more and more convinced of the power of this spear. He took a deep breath and looked at the time on his computer, which read 4 a.m. Have you been playing all night? Li Shang slowly stood up and stretched. Normally, he would sleep, but today he had no intention of sleeping. He was still full of energy. It seems like he has to go out for a while. Although the game is important, in reality he does not have other things. And while eating midnight snack, Yuexian also told him some bad news. Especially, Li wanted to put the spear into the ring in his hand. He tried it. The seal inside was so strong that he couldn't open it at all. Immediately, Li Shang held a detectable stone and placed it in front of the computer. At the same time, he released a wooden man from the space ring and placed it on the gaming chair. After confirming that he could remotely control the computer, he walked out of the room. Master, do you need to prepare breakfast? As soon as she closed the door and walked to the living room, Yuexian stood in the middle of the hall with her eyes closed and opened her eyes, giving Li Shang the first smile before dawn. Unnecessary. Li Shang returned the smile, and then asked, by the way, is Grandma Ling from cave number 12 at home? Always here. I came back from the world 2 months ago and have never left the cave. Yuexian watched Li Shang put on his shoes and blinked. Master, are you going out? Do you need me to accompany you? It's just a short trip. Come back soon and prepare the car for me. Li Shang gave an order. Then he took out his mobile phone and looked at the computer screen through the monitored spirit stone. In a short period of time, after receiving the elixir, all the Li family members in the game began to practice in seclusion, and there was a strong tendency not to go out until they had consumed all the food. Li Delong obviously knew what these pills were from the Qi Refining Period Practice Manual. Almost all members of the Li family took one Tianji Bulling pill, including Tilan Ma. Their qualifications have improved, but there are no major changes for the time being. And at the same time, in the member list, in addition to Li Delong who is at the 4th level of Qi Refining, the Li family has 2 more monks. Li Delong's daughter-in-law probably had no chance and would never become a monk in her life. However, after taking the elixir and the guidance of the prenatal training method in the Qi Refiner's Cultivation Manual, she became a 1st-level Qi Refiner. Li Yaozu has also reached the Qi Refining stage. A 5-year-old at the 1st level of Qi Refining, he has a bright future. Ancestors bless you. My children must practice well and not let down the painstaking efforts of their ancestors. This time I failed to give a gift that made my ancestors happy. I must repay my ancestors well in the next 10 years. The members of the Li family in the game are full of fighting spirit. Li Shang nodded with satisfaction before putting the antique mobile phone back into his pocket. Master looks very happy today. Yuexian's laughter interrupted Li Zhang's thoughts immersed in the game. I might be happier if I cook braised pork for lunch. Li Shang grinned, took a box from Yuexian's hand, opened the box and took a look. There was a cake inside. Then Li Shang drove the car and left the villa. The car only drove a short distance, and Li Shang arrived at Jishenjuang number 12. The sky was already slightly bright, and it was supposed to be a bit cold, but cave number 12 looked normal, but there was a rush of heat. He took out his phone and looked at the game again. No special events were triggered, and the family was still developing in an orderly manner. Only then did he knock on the door of number 12. Jingle bell. Grandma Ling, I'm Li Shang, here to see you. As Li Shang shouted, the door of cave number 12 opened. Unlike Li Zhang's house, when this cave opened, the inside was red. The hot breath was released the moment the door opened, blowing Li Zhang's coat and hair. An old woman with a cane was hunched over and seemed to be walking with difficulty, but she appeared in front of Li Shang like a phantom. Li Shang seemed to have been used to this scene for a long time. Instead of being panicked, Li Shang showed a gentle smile to the old woman and said, Grandma Ling, I didn't disturb you for refining your weapon, did you? This Grandma Ling has white hair and wrinkles on her face. She looks ridiculous but is very kind. How could it be? What an old woman. A young man came to visit my old woman. It's too late to be happy. Come on, Xiao Shang, Grandma and I will come in to drink tea. Grandma Ling grabbed Li Zhang's hand and headed towards the cave. As an old man and a young man entered the cave, the fire in the cave soon went out, and everything was as usual. A wooden table and chairs appeared. The two sat down, and a pot of hot tea appeared on the table. Li Shang and Grandma Ling chatted about trivial matters in life for nearly half an hour. Most of them were asked by Grandma Ling, just like the care and nagging of the elderly. However, Li Shang knew that Grandma Ling had lived for at least 300 years and was an amazing weapon refiner. The entire residents of Jixian village would ask Grandma Ling to refine weapons whenever they needed it. Grandma Ling, I'm in trouble this time. Li Shang looked frustrated. Oh, Grandma Ling frowned immediately, but which blind little beast bullied you in school? Is it something at home? That's not true. You know I don't like to cause trouble. Li Shang didn't mince words, the space ring in his hand flashed, and a spear appeared in his hand. Grandma Ling's eyes lit up when she saw the pattern on the spear. Li Shang smiled and said, "This is just a gift from a friend. I can't see anything on the left and right, so it reminds me of Grandma Ling's skills. At least it's a magic weapon." As soon as Grandma Ling took it, there was a wave of energy. The originally simple environment was filled with flames that shot up into the sky and disappeared. After holding the spear for 10 seconds, Grandma Ling nodded and said, "At least it is a top-grade spiritual weapon that has been sealed. My method can only be said to be average. If you believe me, a bad old woman, you can come and get it in the early morning of the day after tomorrow. If the whole world doesn't believe in Grandma Ling, who can I trust?" After another 10 minutes of flattery, Li Shang left the mysterious spear behind and walked out of cave number 12. After looking at his phone, he saw that nothing harmful to the family had happened. Then he breathed a sigh of relief and drove towards the door. "Uncle Chen, wake up, I have something to do here and I need to go out." When he arrived at the door, Li Shang shouted to Uncle Chen who was sleeping in the guard booth. After a while, Uncle Chen poked his head out sleepily. "Master Xiao Li. Are you out early this morning?" "Why?" Li Shang sighed, slowly opened the car door, lifted the cake on the passenger side, and handed it to Uncle Chen. "I got up very early today, 4 o'clock in the morning." "Hey, cake, Mr. Li will enjoy it." Uncle Chen looked at the cake and smiled happily. "What happened? You got up early in the morning." "It's nothing." Li Shang grinned and said, "I just found a sealed weapon and sent it to Grandma Ling in cave number 12 so that she could have a look. By the way, when I left, I forgot to ask Grandma Ling when my things were coming." "It's okay, Uncle, please help me ask when you patrol." "It's not a big problem. I'll ask when it's ready. Don't worry, she's very nice. Whatever you give her, she'll send it back to you when the time comes." Uncle Chen tapped his fingers on the table. "For this matter, you don't need to go out early in the morning." "Oh, it's not a family matter. The head of our Li family was killed in a foreign battlefield. Several elders took a large number of people to a foreign land for revenge. No, the new head of the family is in power. He is really not a thing. He gave me all my pocket money. I'm afraid I won't be able to afford food in a while." Li Shang sighed. This was the news Yuexian brought to him last night. If it weren't for the struggle to eat, he wouldn't have been able to leave the table for a moment. "Ah," Uncle Chen suddenly glared, "this is serious, you have to deal with it quickly. Mr. Han from cave number 82 understands this kind of thing. Go to his law firm and ask, maybe he can help." "Cheng, there are still lawyers in this world, and Li Shang is ready to litigate with his family." He nodded slightly. "Thank you, Uncle Chen, I'll go ask about it right now. My Yuexian cooks braised pork for lunch, and I'll ask Yuexian to bring you a portion when I come back." "Hey, easy to say, easy to say." Li Zhang's car drove away. Uncle Chen waved to Li Shang, then yawned and headed towards cave number 12, knocking hard on the door of the cave. Bang bang bang. The sound echoed throughout the villa area, and many houses turned on their lights. "Hello, residents of cave number 12, I am the doorman of the villa area, and I will serve you sincerely." Very early in the morning, Li Shang drove directly to 160 miles, speeding on the empty street, and soon stopped at a tall building. "I stayed up there for a full 2 hours before coming down from upstairs." "Hey, it looks like we still have to file a lawsuit." Li Shang shrugged. He did not expect that the Li family in the real world would encounter such a big thing. A new generation replaced the old one. The new head of the family used power for personal gain and directly gave his pocket money to his children. "Let's talk about it when we get back." Li Shang glanced at his phone and spent a lot of time. The Li family has undergone tremendous changes. He frowned and put his phone in his pocket. Suddenly there was a sound of breaking through the sky, and he looked up. In the sky above the high-rise building, more than 30 lawyers in suits were walking through the air with their swords, and they all used their magic weapons. Faintly, Li Shang heard the sound coming from the clouds. "Send word to other people in our company that Boss Han has an order to surround the Li family. Go to the governor and tell him that the head of the Li family is suspected of murder, no, suspected of colluding with the alien Zerg tribe. Ask if there are any of our clients in the prison, and ask them to be prepared. The boss has something to discuss with them. Don't ask why, just ask that someone in the prison may die in a few days, and we have business to do. You said this battle is about searching homes. Fart, of course we are going to litigate, we are a serious law firm. Judging from the situation, he must have gone to help with the lawsuit. With the help of these justice-minded lawyers, I guess getting my pocket money back is safe. Li Shang felt relieved and hurried toward home with a soothing look on his face. Finally I can play games with peace of mind. Welcome home, master. When I got home, the sun was shining brightly, and Yuexian's smile was even brighter than the sun. Actually, the master just needs to contact me, and there is no need to go in person. By the way, Mr. Liu from cave number 7, Miss Wu from number 39, and so on. Mr. Wang from number 92 came and said he wanted to see you. I still have to go there, otherwise they will think I am dead. Li Shang grinned. I went back to my room to play games. All the braised pork at noon will be given to Uncle Chen. I'll just make do with egg fried rice. If anyone comes to see me, just say I'm not at home and I owe you too many favors. I don't dare to owe it anymore. I can't afford it at all. They won't come when the things outside are done. I understand, master. Yuexian retreated. Li Shang hurriedly walked into the room and sat cross-legged on the sofa. I have been running around for 5 hours, and when I get home and look at the computer screen, 5 years have passed. At this time in the Shoxian family simulator, the Li family is changing with each passing day. The small wooden house at the beginning has become a large courtyard with 6 houses and many other houses. Action lists hold a lot of information. Xu Kuiwa successfully gave birth to a daughter, named Li Yaoan. Today, Li Yaoan is 3 years old and is running around in the yard. The other 3 children, Li Yaozu, are already 10 years old. What makes Li Shang happy is that because of his ability to improve with elixirs, this child's wood spirit root has reached 62, and his cultivation has reached the 3rd level of Qi refining. Qi refiner training manual. Progress 12%. The other 2 children are not bad either. Although the 8-year-old girl Li Yaoqing is a bit less qualified, even after using the Tianji spiritual pill, none of her spiritual root values exceed 50. But he still reached the 1st level of Qi refining, especially gained a special trait. Trait: Plant affinity. I am born with a keen intuition for plant cultivation. When planting and cultivating plants, my success rate is greatly improved. Although it was still a year of severe drought, perhaps because of Li Yaoqing's presence, the vegetable garden was not affected and the plants grew vigorously. The other one is Li Yaoti, who was the most qualified before. 3 of his miscellaneous spiritual roots have reached a level of over 50. Although he is only 6 years old, he has already become a 1st-level Qi refining monk. Compared with when Li Delong was alone at the beginning, the Li family was too lively. However, I don't know whether it was because of her age, but Xu Kuiwa did not show her pregnancy again. This is not a big problem. She has already given birth to 4 children. She is a great hero. Li Shang can't be too demanding. When moving the mouse to the item Li Delong in the member list, the scene changes. Li Shang frowned. In the room, Li Delong, who had reached the 6th level of Qi refining after 5 years of practice, was lying on the bed with one leg wrapped around a bamboo board and stabilized with a white cloth strip. Li Delong. Status: seriously injured. Although Li Shang was already very busy early in the morning, he had been paying attention to the game screen. In the past 5 years, Li Delong was definitely the most competent member of the Li family. He often traveled to and from Yintilan, bringing back meat while not forgetting the important task of teaching children. But no one's life is smooth sailing. In 15 years, Li Delong went to Chenggalan town to sell monster materials. On the way, he met a dude riding a horse and saved a child who was about to be knocked down. The young master of the Hu family in Chenggalan saw Li Delong's extraordinary skills, so he recruited him. Li Delong politely refused on the grounds of raising his children, but Hu Wei took a grudge and sent an 8th-level Qi refining master to seriously injure Li Delong. Oh shit. Li Shang gritted his teeth. When the accident happened, Li Shang was paying attention, and it was he who used his love from his ancestors to save Li Delong's life. It's just that the baby I've been raising for 15 years is going to die. Li Shang couldn't wait to go directly to Chenggalan town and unleash the wrath of his ancestors. At this time, Li Delong's hospital bed was on the screen. All members of the Li family looked at Li Delong's injury, and words talking to each other appeared above their heads. Li Yaozu. Revenge. 5 years ago, a group of bandits came to our house. We drove them all away and the Hu family was no exception. Shu Kuiwa. Calm down, kid. I've already gone to inquire. The Hu family has a foundation-building ancestor who has lived for more than 100 years. We are no match for them. Li Yaoqing. Mom is right, now is not the time to act impulsively. Oh, Daddy, get well soon. Li Yaozu. Are we just going to forget it? Li Delong. Children, don't worry about Dad. Our ancestors have already killed the master who hurt Dad, and Dad's revenge is half avenged. It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge in 10 years. As long as we, the descendants of the Li family, work hard to grow up, one day we will be able to take revenge. Let the Hu family pay the price. Looking at the exchanges between the Li family members, Li Shang also suppressed the anger in his heart. It is true that the skill, ancestors' wrath, is good. But when Li Shang saved Li Delong, he found that he could only kill the 8th level of qi refining in an instant. As for whether he could kill the masters at the foundation building stage, it was unknown. Taking rash actions will only expose the Li family to a disaster they cannot cope with. Hiding your strength, developing it slowly, and then surprising everyone, this is the best option. Think of this. Li Shang opened Ancestral Blessing and used a new skill on the injured Li Delong. Ancestors Hug. In the Li family ancestral hall, a phantom appeared on the ancestral tablet. In the surprised eyes of the Li family members, it poured into Li Delong's body. In an instant, Li Delong's legs recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a short while, Li Delong was able to get off. The bed is gone. Use Ancestors Embrace. Consume incense. 100. Compared with the previous mild treatment of love from ancestors, this skill is more powerful and can even heal internal injuries. The ancestors have appeared, and I am as good as ever. Thank you, Ancestor, for saving your life. Ancestor, please rest assured, Delong will one day take everyone in the Li family to avenge today's shame. Seeing the fighting spirit of his descendants, Li Shang gave Li Delong another dose of love from his ancestors. In an instant, everyone was in high spirits. Despite the crisis, the Li family will work harder and they feel your encouragement. Incense plus 30. Li Shang felt relieved. At this time, a small red dot in the member list caught his attention. Click to take a look. Family buff. Rage of Revenge. The training speed is increased by 20%, and revenge will not end until there is enough strength. Such buff seems to appear after experiencing some special event. Practice hard and fight for revenge, my descendants. Li wanted to cheer for his children and grandchildren in front of the screen. Then he clicked on the status of the Li family members one by one to see if this incident had caused them to develop other characteristics. Unfortunately, it did not. But when I clicked on Li Yaozu, Li Shang was startled for a moment, then the screen turned and he had appeared in the Li family's training ground. At this time, Li Yaozu was practicing hard, using the basic sword techniques in the Qi Refiner's training manual. This kid practiced martial arts very hard and ruthlessly. His sword was full of murderous intent. When he chopped it on a stone slab, he even carved out a profound word, must kill. That's the attitude you need. Li Shang nodded slightly. He could already imagine how crazy this kid would be when he grew up and broke into the Hu family. At this time, above the vast sea, there is a spirit boat flying in the sky, with many monks wielding swords. They are wearing unique white clothes with the mark of Yanwang engraved on them. They are a Chinese historical scientific expedition team from the new era, and their duty is to investigate the reasons for the revival of spiritual energy thousands of years ago, as well as looking for the history that was submerged in the dust of this planet for tens of millions of years, or even hundreds of millions of years ago. I found it. I found a stone buried in the depths of the ocean below. It records the history of the ancient times. There may be a vast land below where monks once lived, or it may be a family that is so huge that it is unimaginable. Ruins of power. An explorer excitedly hugged a large stone, broke through the sea, and flew to Lingzhou. In an instant, all the explorers on the ship were surrounding this stone, using professional techniques to clean up the historical dust that covered up the stone carvings. All day and night, only then did they see the true face of the stone, and everyone looked at each other in shock. So strong murderous aura, ancient words engraved on the stone can be vaguely seen. Hu Wei must be killed. Under the hatred, the children of the Li family practiced harder and harder. When Li Xiangjung was concentrating, he noticed that Li Delong summoned everyone in the Li family except 3-year-old Li Yaoan on the screen and headed towards Yin Tilan. He quickly clicked on Li Delong's icon. The screen instantly began to follow the family's movements. There are not many elixirs given to us by our ancestors, but when I entered the silver iron forest last time, I encountered fruit trees with a very attractive smell. This time, I need my family to work together with me. The family is united. In front of the screen, Li Shang held his breath and concentrated, ready to use his skills at any time if they encountered danger. Silver Tilan is not the wild boar forest before, there are many monsters in it. Even though Li Delong had been in and out of Yin Tilan before, he was always in the most peripheral areas, and it was very convenient for him to move alone. This time, a family went together, a group of people without much hunting experience. But Li Shang didn't stop him. If the Li family wants to grow, they will have to go through many difficulties. If they want to stay in front of the altar waiting for his blessing, they might as well just destroy it. Not long after, the family entered Silver Tilan. Also encountered the first encounter. A cat demon with fireworks on its tail and golden fur all over its body. Li Shang manipulated the mouse and clicked on this strange cat demon, and instantly got the cat demon's information. Flame Tail Civet Normal. Introduction. It is small in size, but possesses extremely fast speed, allowing it to survive outside the silver iron forest. Be careful of its speed, and its tail. Looking at this monster, Li Shang was also a little surprised. After the spiritual energy was revived, monsters also existed on this planet, and even formed a large race. But Li Shang had never seen anything like this in the school tutorials. I searched online and couldn't find any useful information. However, Li Shang knew that the strength of ordinary monsters was mostly within the range of the Qi refining stage. And at this time, this flame-tailed civet was running away from Li Delong's pursuit. Call out. The sound of bows and arrows piercing the air sounded. It was Li Yaoti, who was only 6 years old in the Li family, bending the bow and setting an arrow. Meow. The flame-tailed civet barely dodged the bow and arrow, looked back and meowed, baring its fangs. The sound was probably very dirty. But the next moment it couldn't curse. In the direction of its escape, the Li family had already laid a trap. Xu Kuiwa and Li Yaoqing, mother and daughter, grabbed a large brown net and sprang out from 2 trees to cover the fleeing flame-tailed civets. Their bodies were covered with ash, which seemed to cover up the smell. The flames on the tails of the flame-tailed civets ignited crazily, but their nets seemed to have been prepared long ago and could not burn out at all. Just as the flame-tailed civet tore into the net with its claws and teeth, Li Yaozu came towards me, holding a spell in his hand. The net shone with a green luster, completely trapping the flame-tailed civet. Meow meow meow. When the family gathered around and stared at the flame-tailed civet from a high position, the flame-tailed civet cursed even more. Captured an ordinary monster, the flame-tailed civet. It glared angrily at everyone in the Li family, but after being fed and caressed by Xu Kuiwa, it showed a subtle expression of comfort. Are you planning to keep the flame-tailed civet at home? Li Shang looked at the cat in the cage and raised his eyebrows. Obviously, the cat didn't have enough meat to fit between its teeth. It would be a good choice to breed it and let it look after the house. However, the game screen did not reveal the thoughts of the tribesmen. They are already preparing for the next hunt. In Li Zhang's memory, Li Delong seemed to have encountered many monsters before, but when he was alone, he could not fight them, and he would often be run away by the monsters. And now that the family divides labor and cooperates, it makes Li Delong much more relaxed. It didn't take long. Li Shang saw a family fighting monsters one after another in Silver Tilan. Almost all of them were fighting small monsters. Most of the time, the size of the monster also represented the monster's combat power. This time they stayed in Yin Tilan for 5 days. Capturing an ordinary monster, the Shadow Hound. After a beating from Shu Kuiwa, it stuck out its tongue with a flattering look on its face. After Shu Kuiwa walked away, she started barking again. Capturing a nest of ordinary monsters, Bai Li Jie, Shu Kuiwa took out a flute, and listening to the weird music in the flute, Bai Li Jie began to be dazzled. Capturing an ordinary monster, the anteater. Caught so many monsters. Li Shang scratched his head and looked at this posture. It looked like this family wanted to catch all the monsters and train them, but taming the monsters required skills, and all of this was related to Shu Kuiwa. Shu Kuiwa, you're so hidden. You actually learned how to control beasts secretly from me. Open the information about Li Delong's wife. Li Shang suddenly understood. Shu Kuiwa. Realm. Level 1 of Qi Refining. Spells and Martial Arts. Qi Absorption, Beast Control. Trait. Affinity with monsters. Being able to easily feel the emotions of monsters makes it easier to get close to monsters, and the probability of taming monsters is increased by 100%. Just when Li Shang was confused, the Li family of Yin Tilin were gathered around the fire. Under the moonlight, Li Delong took out the ancestral tablet, burned incense and bowed in front of the tablet. My ancestors have blessed me with a smooth journey. Thanks to the secrets of practice given by my ancestors, the unscrupulous descendant Li Delong has found a way to strengthen his family. My child will definitely use the Qi Refiner's Cultivation Manual, well, and one day he will destroy the Talon Hu family and avenge his shame. Shu Kuiwa also knelt down. Delong's wife, Shu Kuiwa thanks our ancestors. After 11 years of raising chickens and ducks, Kuiwa finally learned how to control beasts. Kuiwa will use this method to strengthen the Li family. Your family has been blessed by you and has learned the beast control technique from the Qi Refiner's Practice Manual. Incense plus 100. Li Shang was stunned. The Qi Refiner's Cultivation Manual still has this effect. He quickly opened the textbooks he had studied in school for a whole year from his computer. Then I found a piece of information. The best way to cultivate elixirs, how to communicate with monsters and build trust, division of labor and flow of elixirs. Qi Refiner's Cultivation Manual is equivalent to the junior high school textbook in the previous life. But in today's world, elixirs, monsters, and elixirs are all handled by special talents, or companies directly monopolize them. The planet's environment has also been vigorously developed in these millennia, and there are no extra resources for ordinary students to practice. Only those who are above the Golden Core stage have the qualifications to travel through interstellar space and go to other planets for development and planting. Therefore, in addition to practicing the methods of absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and the techniques in the Qi Practitioner's Training Manual, they did not even read most of the courses. This knowledge is of no use to me, but for the Li family members, the Qi Refiner Cultivation Manual contains a lot of practical knowledge, which is of great potential. Li Shang took a breath. I have always underestimated this most basic textbook. Sure enough, this cultivation textbook is a collection of the 1,000-year spiritual energy recovery history of the Chinese nation. It can be regarded as a supreme treasure for beginners in the world of immortal cultivation. Time passes very quickly in the game. While Li Shang was still amazed that the Qi Refiner's Training Manual could shine in the game world, the Li family and his party were already on their way in the heavy fog. It didn't take long. A big tree appeared on the game screen with fiery red fruits hanging on it. Li Shang moved the mouse and saw the information about the fruit trees. Beast Blood Fruit Tree. A kind of fruit tree that can only grow in places where monsters gather. It is planted with the blood of various monsters and produces monster blood fruits. The more monster blood there is, the stronger it is, and the more spiritual energy produced by the beast blood fruit. Some powerful monsters often occupy such fruit trees, hunt the monsters, and cultivate them with the blood of the monsters for their own breakthrough. As usual, Li Shang searched again, but there was also no information about this kind of fruit tree. But Li Shang can feel the value of this tree. The stronger the blood of the monster, the more spiritual energy the fruit on it has. This means that there is no exact level limit for such a fruit tree. Just when Li wanted to measure the value of the beast blood fruit tree. In the game screen, a giant snake wrapped around the trunk suddenly appeared on the huge fruit tree, with a pair of red eyes staring at the Li family. The two huge horns on its head were flashing with thunder, as if to warn the family in front of it that if they dared to get close again, they would be used as nutrients to cultivate the beast blood fruit tree. No, it's a monster at the peak of ordinary monsters. The last time I saw it, its aura wasn't this strong. Let's leave, Dad, it has no intention of attacking us. Thunder Python, common monster. Introduction. An absolutely powerful existence among ordinary monsters. When the molting period is over, its transformation is about to begin. The Li family retreated, but Li Shang saw that it was not that Li Delong was reckless, but that there were two thunder pythons on the beast blood fruit tree. Retreat. How is it possible to retreat? In front of the screen, Li Shang glanced sideways. He looked at the number of incense in the game, and there were still 180 left. Go ahead, finish all the incense, and I can't give up the beast blood fruit. Use Ancestor's Wrath, consuming 20 points of incense. All of a sudden, Li Zhang's ancestral spirit tablet flew out of Li Delong's clothes and rushed towards the Thunderlight Python. The ancestors have appeared. Li Delong was immediately overjoyed. Yes, we still have the blessing of our ancestors. Don't be afraid of this snake and mess with it. In an instant, Li Shang and the Li clan members in front of the screen worked together. And this time, Li Shang also discovered the limit of the Ancestor's Wrath skill. In front of the lightning python in the peak stage of ordinary monsters, his skills can no longer kill him instantly. The ordinary monsters in the peak stage can still fight against masters who have just entered the foundation building stage. The ancestral spirit tablet soon collided with the thunder and lightning shot out from the twin horns of the Thunderlight Python. The Li clan members on the side also helped, but Li Yaoti's bow and arrow could not even scratch the skin of the Thunder Python, and no one else could even get close. It didn't take long. Li Zhang's skills that used to instantly kill bandits time and time again were defeated by the Thunderlight Python's attacks. So fierce, Li Shang gritted his teeth and said, 2 more shots. Click on Ancestor's Wrath continuously. The spiritual tablet on the screen split into 2, flashed purple light in midair, and rushed forward again. Don't be afraid, our ancestors have not given up, and we, the descendants, will fight to the end. We are going to order these spiritual fruits. Li Delong gritted his teeth, and he also became fierce, leading Li Yaozu towards the other 2 little snakes. Ancestors bless you. Fight, my tablet. In front of the screen, Li Zhang's blood boiled, fighting for the beast blood fruit. Ancestor's Wrath X5. Li wanted to control the 5 ancestral spirit bits in this game. He already understood that the ancestral spirit bits were equivalent to the strength of peak chi refining. Click on a spirit position to control the trajectory of the spirit position, press A to attack the target, and press R to unleash a big move. Explode. Whenever an ancestral spiritual position dims in the battle with the Thunderlight Python, it means that the energy of the ancestral spiritual position is about to be exhausted, and it is time to press R. Although this Thunder Python has rough skin and thick flesh, its lightning energy is amazing. But he couldn't bear the attack from Zhang's ancestor's spiritual tablet. When the 5 tablets were exhausted, the Thunder Python was already scarred. Roar. After the last spiritual position exploded, the Thunder Python became completely angry and roared at everyone in the Li family, vowing to swallow Li Delong's family to vent his hatred. How dare you be so presumptuous? Li Zhang's eyes widened. Another spiritual figure appeared in front of the Thunderlight Python. The originally furious Thunderlight Python stopped suddenly, and was frightened by this spiritual figure that was only 1 arm long and wide. Then he bent down towards the ancestor's spiritual place very humanely, his eyes full of desire for survival. At the same time, everyone in the Li family was not idle either. Our ancestors won the battle. This giant python is no match for our ancestors. Long live our ancestors. Everyone in the Li family looked at the defeated Thunder Python and jumped for joy. In the giant net they used to capture other monsters, they also caught the 2 children of the Thunder Python. The descendants of the Li family feel the great power of their ancestors, and the incense plus 3-0. Hiss. The eyes of the Thunderlight Python were even more gloomy. In the center of its head, a diamond-shaped crystal filled with lightning arcs emerged. The Thunderlight Python is afraid, begging you to spare its life and that of its child, and to sacrifice the core of its life. Whether to consume 50 points of incense, contract a Thunder Python and become a temple-protecting beast. Looking at the information on the screen, Li Shang raised his eyebrows. This was the first time this happened. Thunder Python's natal core only occurs when it touches the tablet, and this game seems to have many functions to be developed. Yes, Li Shang clicked, yes without hesitation. The incense offered by his clansman just now made him worthy of possessing the incense that could contract the Thunder Python. You have contracted the Thunder Python to become the temple guardian beast. It will protect your ancestral temple, protect your spiritual position, and convey the message from your ancestors to you. On top of the tablet, purple light shone on the Thunder Python, and a circular icon appeared in the upper left corner of the game screen, with an image of a python roaring up to the sky engraved on it. Li Shang opened it and saw the information about the Thunder Light Python. One of them made Li Shang particularly excited. Please enter the information you want to convey. Can I communicate with the descendants of the Li family? Li Shang couldn't wait to try it out. Immediately convey. Let my descendants take the beast blood fruit trees back for cultivation. The lightning python on the screen seemed to have sensed the message coming from nowhere. It was startled for a moment, and then began to drag the scars all over its body around the ancestral tablet in a circle around the Li family. Finally, he crawled in front of Li Delong, who was standing there in confusion, and rubbed his huge head affectionately against Li Delong. Immediately afterwards, he began to circle around the beast blood fruit tree. Everyone in the Li family looked at each other. The ancestors tamed this giant python. Dad, it seems to be expressing something. Long live our ancestors. Finally, Li Yaoqing, who was still 8 years old, looked at the Thunder Python, then at the ancestors' memorial tablet, and tugged at the corner of Li Delong's clothes. Dad, did our ancestors ask us to take this tree back and plant it? Upon hearing this, thunder and lightning flashed on the head of the Thunder Python, and it nodded fiercely. It nodded, it can communicate with its ancestors. Li Delong was overjoyed. Let's go, let's pick the fruits first and take all the spoils of this trip home. This tree is too big, we have to think about it in the long run. Nice. Seeing that his descendants understood what he meant, Li Shang stood up excitedly. Until now, he could only roughly express his meaning by using love from ancestors. But now through the Thunder Python, he can do so much more. Next, the Li family returned to the family station with rich loot. The action section on the screen made Li Shang dazzled by the loot. And in the following days, the Li family also began to develop crazily. In the 16th year of the Li family, Shu Kuiwa has completely tamed all the spiritual beasts, brought the spiritual beasts to the wild boar forest to be free range, and renamed the wild boar forest Spiritual Beast Garden. Ever since Shu Kuiwa married Li Delong, she has been giving birth to children and doing some farm work in obscurity, but now Shu Kuiwa's contribution to the Li family is even equal to that of Li Delong. She developed silently, and after learning the art of controlling beasts, even Li Shang was amazed. At this time, in the spiritual beast park, as Shu Kuiwa and Li Delong frequently entered the silver iron forest, there were already more than 30 species in it. However, after the chickens, ducks, cattle and sheep that Shu Kuiwa raised, the vegetables she grew, and the grass in the elixir garden were not enough for these monsters to eat, Shu Kuiwa no longer dared to tame other monsters easily. But these monsters have become the hidden power of the Li family. These monsters are not just raised, they also help a lot in the development of the Li family. Iron-hoofed oxen plowed the land, booze birds watered the land, and bily pigeons and anteaters kept away insects. The Li family's farmland grew larger and larger, saving the Li family a lot of energy. Tracking hounds follow Li Delong in hunting, and a velociraptor follows him in hunting. Coupled with the Tilan horse-drawn cart, Li Delong always gets a bumper harvest in silver Tilan every time. Li Yaozu, who is already 11 years old, is not idle either. He is more interested in practicing martial arts. More than a dozen monster beasts with strong attack power have become his sparring partners. His fighting skills are growing every day. Li Yaoqing is as interested in plants as ever. Inside the Spirit Beast Garden, there is a medicine garden opened under the guardianship of monster beasts. One of the most prominent trees is being planted, the beast blood fruit tree. Li Yaoqing simply built a thatched house under the big tree and paid attention to the growth of the beast blood fruit tree every day. For some reason, this fruit tree, which was full of fruits in the silver iron forest, had not bloomed for a year. She draws blood from the monster every day, but she can only keep the fruit trees alive. On the contrary, under the fruit trees, various herbs began to sprout and grow strong. Li Yaoti, the most qualified among the Li family, is only 7 years old now. He does not like fighting and killing like his elder brother. Instead, after contacting a passing blacksmith, he became very interested in making equipment. Now, in the large yard of the Li family, a simple forging platform was set up for Li Yaoti to forge iron. Beside him, the flame-tailed civet caught from the silver iron forest and the angry flame lizard that could spit out fire were using animal fire to help Li Yaoti temper iron tools. Beside him were the ice spirit fish kept in the water. Spit a mouthful of ice into the water in the stone trough at any time to cool down the red iron. The whole family is working hard to contribute to the Li family. Only the youngest Li Yaoan has had a quiet time. The 2-year-old girl seems to be quiet by nature. At a young age, she has already picked up a pen and dipped it in water, writing crooked words on stones. Every morning, Li Yaoan can be heard with some. There was a milky sound, and even some vague sounds of reading. In the 17th year of the Li family, Li Delong broke through the 7th level of qi refining. Having been hunting for more than 10 years, during one hunting session, Li Delong seemed to suddenly feel that he was integrated with the environment of the woods. Get the trait, Forest Ranger. Trait, Forest Safari. The wood attribute's spiritual roots are in the woods and are slightly enhanced. Years of hunting experience have made him more familiar with the forest. In the forest, his combat effectiveness increases by 100%. Although Li Delong's qualifications have been transformed by the Tianji Bulling pill, his qualifications are still very poor. But after taking 5 animal blood fruits and digesting them for 2 years, I still started to have breakthroughs. In particular, possessing 3 qualities seems to make up for Li Delong's shortcomings in qualifications. It's not just him. This year, the strength of the Li family has increased significantly. Except for Li Yaoan, who is still young and can already hold a pen to write a lot and can read clearly, everyone in the Li family has improved to a small level. And even though they gave 20 of their beast blood fruits to the Thunderlight Python, they still had more than half left. It's going well. Li Shang kept watching the development of the Li family on the screen, with a fatherly smile on his face. He occasionally dealt with bandits who came to harass the Li family during the drought years. He only encountered practitioners twice in 2 years, and used Ancestor's Wrath only once. I don't know when the Thunderlight Python will wake up. The ancestral temple built for him by his family has become the best building in the settlement. Under the high memorial tablet, the Thunder Python is sleeping, its skin has opened, and it is breaking through. During this period, Li Shang was unable to convey messages to his family. Of course, Li Shang could awaken the Thunder Python, but he didn't know if disturbing its molting would have any adverse effects. In the 18th year of the Li family's life, there was a severe drought that lasted for 10 years. However, the farmland around the Li family was green and the wild boar forest was gradually rejuvenated. More and more people are discovering that this may be a wealthy place. Although the rumors about bandits entering the Li family and leaving no one alive are very scary, there are still a large number of bandits eyeing this wealthy place. Dad, someone broke into the Spirit Beast Garden. In the picture, Li Yaoqing, who was stationed in the Elixir Garden, hurriedly ran home with the monsters. They ate whatever they saw in the Elixir Garden. I picked all the elixirs, and they were heading towards us. Coming towards home. Everyone from the Li family gathered together. A humane 100-mile pigeon flew onto Shu Kuiwa's shoulder and croaked in Shu Kuiwa's ear. Shu Kuiwa soon turned to her family with a gloomy face and said, "There are monks among them, who are more powerful than the guys who came to harass our house in the past. HMPH. If they dare to come, there will be no return for them." Li Delong stepped out in one step and stood in front of the courtyard door, holding 2 machetes in his hands. He had the power to block the way of one man and prevent 10,000 others from opening the door. Behind him, the Li family were all full of fighting spirit. Monsters were wandering behind them, as if they were always on guard against the enemies that were about to break into the Li family. A demonic wind blew through the station, blowing up dust, but it could not blow away the fighting spirit accumulated by the Li family over the years. The memorial tablet of Li Shang shines brightly in the Li family ancestral hall. Li Delong raised his machete high. Ancestors bless me, the Li family members. Invincible. Mom, so many people. Li Shang, who was in front of the screen, did not take this invasion seriously at first. After all, many such things had happened before. They were just refugees who went crazy during the famine years and were not a threat at all. But this time, Li Shang finally changed his mind. Dense red dots appeared on the Li family camp, and there were thousands of people there according to crude calculations. The last time he faced the Thunder Python, whose strength was basically close to the foundation building stage, Li Shang was excited, but this time he was nervous. Thousands of people are scattered all over the map. The power of his ancestral tablets is nothing. After all, if it were all handed over to him and he could control the ancestral tablets to click one by one, it would probably be enough for him to work for a long time. Even for disaster victims, this is too much, right? Looking at these victims who were armed with dung forks and wooden sticks, and whose faces were full of bloodthirsty, Li Zhang's scalp went numb. He took a deep breath and looked at the Li family children who were ready and scattered around. He frowned and said, "You can only rely on yourselves." What makes Li Shang happy is that everyone in the Li family was not afraid, but took action immediately. Ancestor, don't worry, as long as there is one person in my Li family, no one can step into the ancestral hall. Li Zhang's memorial tablet has emerged from the ancestral hall. Li Delong knelt on the ground, feeling the blessing of his ancestors. He kowtowed to the tablet 3 times before standing outside the Li family yard with a knife. See. There is an open area in the distance outside the Li family, and even further away is the current spiritual beast garden. With the wind blowing and the grass swaying, the shadows of the trees swayed, and soon the shambling refugees emerged from the spiritual beast garden one by one. These hungry refugees seemed not to have seen Li Delong. Their eyes were all fixed on the back of Li Delong, where there was a large green land full of grain. Next to the grain, there is a large fence containing a large number of fat livestock. There is a big stone in the center, and a little girl with twin ponytails is sitting on it, holding a book in her hand, and the sound of lang lang reading can be heard. I have thousands of acres of fertile land, and every plant and tree has been worked hard. The enemy invaders invaded our homeland, but now they can only be wolves and tigers. Why bother? Why bother? The cool breeze blew by, and Li Yaoan's clear little milky voice was especially clear in this moment of silence. But her childlike voice failed to make these crazy victims feel any compassion. Food, it's food. No one can rob me, I want to eat meat. They only have one adult and one child. These are all ours, don't rob them. Crazy, totally crazy. Even though they were hungry, the victims still burst out at extremely fast speeds and rushed towards the Li family's residence. But what they got was not food, but call. A strong wind blew by. Li Delong stepped forward and slashed out with 2 machetes on his left and right. He actually released 2 blades of energy and cut off the victims who were rushing forward. Flash and blood flying everywhere. At this moment, all the victims who rushed forward finally regained some sense. Li Delong's sword energy made a wide mark on the ground, like a natural chasm, so that these victims did not dare to cross even half a step. Li Delong roared angrily, "This is my home. If you want food, I can give it to you, but whoever dares to cross this road will die." As Li Delong finished speaking, the Tilan horse, which had followed Li Delong for many years, came out of his home. It pulled a carriage, and on the carriage was food that had been prepared. After Tilanma transported the food outside the spiritual beast garden, he quickly bit off the rope and quickly ran to Li Delong's side. "It's food. It's great. I finally have something to eat. Thank you, sir, for the gift. Grab it quickly." Li Shang frowned when he saw these victims rushing out of the spirit beast garden and starting to snatch food. Li Delong's method of hitting Tianzhao with a stick and then giving it to Tianzhao was very smart. After these victims were frightened and got what they wanted, they probably would not dare to do it again. While thinking, in the game, when the refugees were grabbing food, a group of people suddenly appeared in the elixir garden. "Monks. What are you doing? There are so many of us. After eating this meal, what will we have for the next meal? Look at their fields and the livestock they raise. If you save food, you can eat it for at least a month. There may also be a lot of food hidden in their homes. If we take away their territory, we can even survive for a whole month. Year." Human greed is endless. Following the monk's words, most of the looting victims had stopped what they were doing and looked at the Li family's fields and livestock with drooling eyes. Yes, Your Excellency is right. If he could give us this car, he might have 10 cars at home, and he hid them all. You have so much food, why do you only give us this little? Why don't you give us all the livestock? The victims angrily questioned Li Delong. At this time, Li Delong had already tightened his grip on the machete. Li Shang, who was drinking from a cup, almost broke the cup. I'll give it to you. He suddenly put the water glass down. Consume 20 points of incense and use Ancestor's Wrath. All of a sudden, the ancestral tablet glowed brightly and suddenly rushed towards those monks. He could see that there must be something weird behind the reason why these victims came to the Li family's residence, and it must be related to these monks. Otherwise, why would monks in the year of great disaster need to wade through this muddy water? Pass through the victims. The ancestral tablet moved towards the monk, causing the face of the instigating monk to change drastically. What kind of weird magic weapon is this? However, he just finished speaking. Puff! The memorial tablet had already passed through the chest, and the blood was pouring out, which also sounded the clarion call for the victims to charge towards the Li family. A large number of victims rushed towards Li's house. The power of our ancestors. Li Delong saw his ancestor getting angry and no longer hesitated. He closed his eyes and lowered his head, as if he was feeling the rhythm of the ground. When the victims approached, he suddenly raised his head. His true energy stirred up the dust around him. He slashed his left and right swords, already slashing out the sword energy, and once again rushed through the victims of the defense line were cut in half. He suddenly rushed into the battlefield with a knife, showing no mercy, and shouted to the sky. I gave you a chance, but you must make my ancestors angry. Daughter-in-law, children, the Li family, must not show any mercy today. Kill. Li Delong simply got on his horse and found no one alive wherever he passed. As his words fell, there were also movements from all directions where the Li family was stationed. The victims were frightened by Li Delong's fighting, and some of them looked around in horror. Monster! Monster! Help! This kid is crazy. Run! These victims only know how to rob food and want to seize this rich land, but they don't know. Li Delong was fighting wantonly, and the ancestral tablet flashed with purple light, chasing the group of monks. Other members of the Li family also began to appear on the battlefield from the outside. Li Yaozu appeared directly behind the victims. He rushed out with a long sword in hand, followed by the monster beasts who had been practicing martial arts with him. He was like an elegant dancer, waving the long sword in the crowd, easily taking people's lives. Blood splattered on his body. He was not afraid at all, but his red eyes were flashing with madness. Why? To the west, a giant eagle flew by. Li Yaoqing was riding on the giant eagle. Looking at the fighting on the ground, she sighed. Then he slowly opened the baggage carried on the giant eagle, and the black dust spread towards the crowd and fell on the victims. Then came the bamboo tube carried by the giant eagle, and black liquid poured out of the bamboo tube. It didn't take long. These victims scratched their red skin uncomfortably. Those who were contaminated by the black liquid had black smoke coming out of their skin. They have been cultivating elixirs for many years, and no one in the Li family understands the properties of medicine better than Li Yaoqing. And to the east, Shu Kuiwa and Li Yaoti's mother and son also appeared. They were followed by a large number of monsters, and these monsters rushed into the crowd mercilessly. This woman, who looks like a peasant woman, has a toughness that is rare for ordinary women. The victims who were missed when the monster charged will face her merciless machete. Although Li Yaoti beside her is still young, he is not lacking in fighting ability. The angry salamander behind him struggled to pull the cart, and the basket was full of bows and arrows. Whenever Li Yaoti holds a long bow and shoots an arrow, the flame-tailed civet cat will always hold another bow and arrow to Li Yaoti. Boo-hoo. An arrow takes 3 seconds, and Li Yaoti, a young blacksmith who is already very powerful, is like a mobile fort. These victims don't know. Today, the Li family has enough strength to protect their family, and they also have strong determination. One after another, the crazy victims began to regain their senses after being killed by the Li family. Looking at the corpses and blood on the ground, they stopped in their tracks and knelt down to beg for mercy. Don't kill me, I know I was wrong. Help, I don't dare to do it anymore, please spare me. Call out. Li Yaoti's bow and arrow shot to death the victims who knelt down begging for mercy. It turns out that the family I cultivated has become so powerful. At this time, Li wanted to manipulate the tablets to kill 12 monks in front of the screen, and he had stopped what he was doing. Watching the Li clan kill, the nervousness he felt at the beginning finally relaxed. He was smiling all over his face. The strength of a family is not only their strength, but also their strong heart. Li Shang was very glad that there was no such pitiful mother in the Li family. They acted swiftly and swiftly. Right now, boom, Li Shang frowned, and his tablet was suddenly shattered by a flying sword. Immediately afterwards, I saw a monk in black walking out of the elixir garden, and the flying sword that shattered the tablets floated next to him. I didn't expect there to be a family like yours outside of Talon Town, ha ha ha. Li Shang just frowned. Ancestor's Wrath X10. No, it's a foundation building master. Li Delong exclaimed and stopped what he was doing. Feeling how powerful this monk was, everyone in the Li family quickly gathered towards Li Delong. Oh, what kind of magic weapon is this? One turns into 10, and it looks like a spirit, which is a bit interesting. The foundation building monk looked at the 10 tablets in front of the Li family with great interest. Who are you? Why do you want to harm my Li family? Li Delong seemed rough, but he had some thoughts. He could also tell that the invasion of the victims was related to the monk in front of him. But with his ancestor's tablet in front, he felt much more at ease. Hey, your family is a bit interesting too. The monk raised his eyebrows and said, the victims came from Talon Town. Who do you think I am? Who family? Li Delong gritted his teeth. The only thing he could think of was Hu Wei, who had conflicts with him. Smart people can understand everything at once. The monk grinned and did not take the Li family seriously. In fact, he had not moved all the time, just to see what trump card the Li family had. Now it seems that the Li family is only such a large family, and there is nothing to fear with the fighting power of these ordinary monsters. This time when I came out of seclusion, my grandson said that there was a family in this deep mountain and old forest who was refining his energy. The subordinates on the 8th floor killed me. I didn't believe it at first, but now, it seems that it was really you who did it. Hu Wei. Li Delong looked gloomy. I have never offended your Hu family, and I was seriously injured by your Hu family's Hu Wei. Why are you so aggressive? Aggressive? That's not it. The monk patted the dust on his clothes and glanced at the Li family with disdain. You guys really don't catch my eye. I just checked your identity and was curious. You are a slave. Why did he become a master of the 7th level of qi refining in less than 20 years? And your children, tisk tisk, are even more impressive than my children. Look at your monsters, they can be sold for a lot of money. This is so interesting. My useless grandson finally has one thing he wants to do. The monk's teasing laughter stopped, and his expression turned grim. Now, tell me, what secrets are you hiding? Hand over the treasure you are hiding, and I will spare your lives. And your shabby tablet, you don't think this useless magic weapon can protect you, do you? Everyone in the Li family was speechless and just looked at the memorial tablets of their ancestors. There is a secret, they have a mysterious ancestor. But, I'm talking about the 18th generation of your ancestors. Li Delong's eyes were red. He suddenly grabbed the long bow from Li Yaoti's hand, bent the bow and set an arrow. All his spiritual energy was poured into the bow and arrow. The iron bow and arrow even made a cracking sound from inside. He didn't know how his ancestors existed. I don't know how amazing the secrets on the ancestors' tablet are. He only knows that as a descendant of the Li family, even if he dies, he will not reveal even half of the secrets of his ancestors' existence, and he will fight for the honor of his ancestor. Call out. The bow and arrow carrying the true energy made a violent sound of breaking through the air. It also represents the determination of everyone in the Li family. As Li Delong's bow and arrow shot out, everyone in the Li family clenched their weapons, and Li Yaozu even stabbed out with a sword energy. Useless. Li Delong used his bow and arrow with most of his true energy, but was weakly caught in the hands of the foundation-building ancestor of the Hu family. Li Yaozu's sword energy could not even break through the opponent's body protecting true energy. I think it's better for you to hand over all your things and secrets. The foundation-building ancestor of the Hu family watched with disdain as Li Delong bent his bow again, looking like he was toying with his prey, resisting the attack in a leisurely manner, and headed towards everyone in the Lee family. As long as these garbage are scary enough, he won't be afraid that he won't be able to get what he wants. As expected of the descendants I trained. Li Shang felt inexplicably proud when he saw the descendants of the Li family who were still unafraid in facing the masters of foundation building in the game. Even though they used up all their energy, they still faced their opponents. At this moment, he seemed to no longer regard these descendants as game characters, but as real clan members. He even hoped that these Li family members were his real clan members. Then, his eyes were fixed on the Hu family's foundation building monk, and he grinned, "Are you crazy?" The 10 tablets floating in front of everyone in the Li family were finally moved. The first one flew in front of the Hu family's foundation building ancestor, but the opponent was about to block it. Press R to explode. Not good. This time, the ancestor of the Hu family finally stepped back suddenly and quickly used his Junchi to block. He did not expect that these weird tablets could have such a trick. The ancestors have shown great power. Kill this fool. When everyone in the Li family saw the tablet repelling the ancestor of the Hu family, their eyes brightened. Does it still have such power? The ancestor of the Hu family frowned at the other moving spirit tablet and snorted coldly, "I want to see what this useless thing can do to me." This time, the ancestor of the Hu family used his flying sword to stab him. Bang! Li Shang manipulated the spiritual position and blew himself up again, blowing up the flying sword. Then quickly manipulate the 2 tablets to rush towards the ancestor of the Hu family, and then press R. Let's see how crazy you are. Amidst the explosion, the ancestor of the Hu family retreated again. A strand of hair was messed up and blocked the eyes of the ancestor of the Hu family. He brushed his hair away with an ugly expression. "There are still 6 left. What will happen after you use them up? Let me see what you do." Bang, bang, bang. Li Shang, who was in front of the screen, didn't pay any attention to the small words that appeared above the head of the ancestor of the Hu family. He manipulates the tablets again and again, and then presses R. Until the last time, this tablet finally exploded the ancestor of the Hu family's energy, causing him to fly backwards. The ancestor of the Hu family had blood oozing from the corners of his mouth and his clothes were in a mess. But his face was full of a teasing smile. "Ha ha ha, no more, your weird magic weapon doesn't have." But the next moment, his laughter stopped abruptly. Consume 20 points of incense and use Ancestor's Wrath. A tablet once again appeared in front of everyone in the Li family out of thin air. Why is there still more? Is it endless? The corner of the Hu family ancestor's mouth twitched. He stared at the tablet and was in a dilemma for a moment. He had just boasted so much that if he just backed away, he would blush even in his dreams at night. But if he doesn't retreat, now he has been bombed 9 times, and only half of his true energy is left. Who knows how much more of this thing is left? But he thought wrong. Li wanted to summon this tablet not to attack the ancestors of the Hu family, but to protect the descendants of the Li family. Because, in the Li family ancestral hall, the thunder python coiled under the ancestral tablet finally opened its eyes. Its figure was even larger, occupying almost half of the space of the ancestral hall. The originally dark python skin gradually faded and turned into a deep purple. There were mysterious and beautiful lines on the smooth purple skin. The 2 sharp horns on the head actually bent forward after molting. Roar! After waking up, the thunder python looked up to the sky and roared. The cry it made was no longer the neighing of a snake, but the roar of a ferocious beast. The lightning on its body actually radiated 10 meters away along the ground, and the purple electric arc could be seen clearly even by everyone outside the ancestral hall. What's going on? If Li Zhang's ancestral spiritual position only made the ancestors of the Hu family feel a little afraid. And now, he was downright terrified. He looked in the direction of the Li family ancestral hall in horror. There was an aura there that made him feel a sense of oppression just by feeling it. Escape. How arrogant he was when he came, how embarrassed the ancestor of the Hu family is now. He didn't dare to take another look at the Li family, turned around and ran towards the elixir garden. He didn't even dare to look back. Bang, bang, bang. The crashing sound of a big tree being knocked down always came from behind him, and the sound was getting closer and closer. until the moment he fled to the beast blood fruit tree. He could even smell an unpleasant fishy smell. At this moment, he no longer dared to move. He lowered his head in fear. The purple arc of lightning had fallen on the ground under his feet, but it did not attack him. Of course, this arc also conveyed a message to him. If he dared to move, he would be prepared to be killed. He stiffened his head, turned around with difficulty, and swallowed hard. Until he was enveloped in shadows and smooth scales appeared before his eyes. What is this? The head of the ancestor of the Hu family trembled slightly unconsciously. When he raised his head, which seemed to have taken a lifetime, he finally saw clearly what was chasing him. A snake, a giant python nearly 20 meters long and purple to black. On the head of this giant python, there was a tablet standing impressively, the tablet he had just ridiculed and was so frightened by. What grade is this tablet? Dare to stand on the head of such a terrifying beast? And at this time, in front of the screen, Li Shang was staring at the ancestor of the Hu family with gritted teeth. In front of the thunder python, the reminder from the ancestor of the Hu family was like a mouse. He slowly clicked on the image of the thunder python. Then enter. Kill him, don't let him die too easily. In an instant, the thunder python wrapped around the body of the ancestor of the Hu family, slowly generating electricity and slowly exerting force. I have to say that the ancestor of the Hu family still has some backbone. Although he ran away, he didn't ask for help after being entangled by the thunder python. Master Spiritual Beast, please have mercy. Quote. Li Shang immediately stared at the ancestor of the Hu family who was entangled by the thunder python, with veins popping out on his face. You are crazy, keep being crazy. He had just been waiting for the thunderlight python to wake up. No, it shouldn't be called thunder python now. But, purple thunder Tianyang python. Purple thunder Tianyang python, spiritual beast. Introduction. A powerful existence with extremely strong power and natural thunder flames, it is waiting for its next transformation. After ordinary monsters, there are spirit-level monsters, and the breakthroughs of monsters are not like humans. The purple thunder Tianyang python is even more alien. He has already reached maturity, and after shedding his skin, he undergoes transformation, which is more like an evolution. After becoming the purple thunder Tianyang python, he became the pinnacle of spiritual beasts. Under the entanglement of the purple thunder Tianyang python, the bones of the ancestor of the Hu family soon made a click sound, and his blood burst from the blood vessels of the skin, slowly flowing along the smooth skin of the purple thunder Tianyang python. It fell under the beast blood fruit tree. Not long after, all that was left of the arrogant Hu family ancestor was a tangled piece of human skin. Li Shang let out a long sigh of relief. Click the avatar of purple thunder Tianyang python again and entered. Let someone send his human skin to the Hu family. Chapter 11. Your tribe successfully prevented the invasion of the disaster victims. Get incense plus 300. With the death of the Hu family ancestor, this invasion ended completely. No, or rather it has just begun. In the Li family ancestral hall, the descendants of the Li family gathered. Only Li Yaozu was outside to deal with the surviving victims. Those victims did not join the team that broke into the Li family's residence. Li Delong seemed to have some other arrangements for them. And at this time, a monk who is still alive has been tied up with 5 flowers. This person is trembling in front of everyone in the Li family and the huge purple thunder Tianyang python. Unfilial descendants are of no use, and they even ask the ancestors to take action personally. Please ask the ancestors to blame you. Li Delong, his wife and children knelt down and worshipped at the ancestral tablet. At this time, Li Shang in front of the screen, how could he blame everyone in the Li family? Their performance this time really made Li Shang very satisfied, but Li Shang still frowned and said, I'd better ask Tai Lin about the Hu family first. They have come to cause trouble twice. He clicked on the avatar of the purple thunder Tianyang python and entered. Ask about the Hu family. In an instant, the Hu temple mythical beast had received the message conveyed by Li Shang. It bowed its body humanely towards Li Zhang's tablet, and then spoke to everyone in the Li family. Hi, compared to the previous roar, the purple thunder sky python now spoke softly and emitted a low snake-like hissing. Quote. Listening to the sounds coming from the game, Li Shang scratched his head, inexplicably thinking of the sound of Voldemort communicating with the snake in Harry Potter. Voldemort is actually myself. Are the ancestors conveying admonitions? Li Delong immediately knew that the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python, the temple-protecting beast, was conveying Li Zheng's instructions. Shu Kuiwa is a beast master after all. I just closed my eyes and meditated for a moment, and actually clearly understood the message conveyed by the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python. The ancestor said, "Let us solve the Hu family's troubles. Ancestor, please rest assured that this matter will be handled properly." Li Delong suddenly understood. Despite Li Delong's appearance, he was actually as thoughtful as silk. He soon began to ask the captured monks for exact information. This monk was a weakling. Before Li Delong could ask any questions, he had already told him everything he knew. Listen to what the monk has to say. Li Shang also started to think. It turns out that during the severe drought in the past 10 years, the monks in Talon Town have been helping with relief. But this time, the ancestor of the Hu family deliberately refused to give porridge to the victims and lured the hungry victims to test the Li family, which led to the invasion of the victims. As one of the 4 major families in Talon, the Hu family has 4 ancestors, all of whom are foundation-building masters who have been in seclusion for many years, and have a profound foundation. Sir, it is impossible for you to go to the Li family for revenge. The monk looked pale. The 4 major families in Talon Town are the foundation of the town. Although they occasionally have small frictions, in order to prevent people from other places from seizing their resources, they have always been cooperative. There are also those in Talon Town. The mayor will not allow chaos in Talon Town. If you dare to touch the Hu family, the mayor will also label you as traitors. Hi, the huge head of the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python suddenly appeared in front of the monk, making him almost wet his pants. Don't eat me, I have said everything, and I can even make suggestions for you. I have given up the dark side and turned to the bright side. However, Shu Kuiwa knew that the Hu Temple mythical beast was not threatening the monk. She smiled and said forward, "Don't be afraid, our ancestor just wanted to ask if Talon Town will come because we killed the ancestor of the Hu family. Revenge." "No, it won't," the monk hurriedly said. "The ancestor of the Hu family is dead. Even if they have 800 courages, they don't dare to send anyone here. The other 3 families must be gloating about the misfortune and will not get angry, but they will not let you enter the city to kill people. The Hu family is even less likely to do so. Dare you, but you have to be careful. Maybe they don't dare to break in, but as long as you don't have the protection of this python, they will attack you." Hearing this, everyone looked heavy. People blocked the door. Li Shang complained. After knowing the current situation of the Li family, he accelerated the time flow of the game and told the Li family to be careful in the coming days and go out less often. Immediately afterwards, Li Shang began to check the harvest. This time, a total of 13 monks were annihilated. Everyone in the Li family has never had any magic weapons, but this time, equipment exploded all over the place. Obtained the trophy, the human skin of the ancestor of the Hu family. Get the trophy, spiritual breath flying sword magic weapon. Obtain the trophy, black ring magic weapon. Obtain trophies. Thank you to the Hu family for sending us the startup capital for family development. Li Shang watched the developments in the game with a smile on his face. Everyone in the family has switched from one shot to another. In the past, Li Delong always carried 2 machetes, but now this guy was carrying a strange cyan weapon with gun tips on both sides, walking on the road to Silver Talon. Silver Ring Yin Hand Double-Headed Snake Middle Grade Magical Weapon. Can be divided into 2 parts, connected by a chain. The venom is extracted from the mouths of hundreds of silver snakes every day and soaked in iron tools containing spiritual energy for 7,749 days. From then on, the magic weapon can generate the silver snake liquid on its own, which is contained in the 2 guns. Putting the true energy into the gun can attract snake spirits to help. Looking at Li Delong's magic weapon, Li Shang was still a little greedy. This kind of magic weapon is obviously made with ancient craftsmanship. In the world where he lives now, such magic weapon is rare. Most people use magic weapon pistols, magic weapon bombs, and magic weapon machines. For thousands of years, technology and spiritual practice have been slowly merging. Li Yaozu, on the other hand, used the spiritual breath flying sword that he got from the ancestor of the Hu family. Spiritual breath flying sword, high-grade magical weapon. The above-grade spirit breath stone is tempered and can absorb the spirit of heaven and earth in the sword for one's own use. This sword has a spirit and has its own sword control skills. Those who have not learned the sword control skills can also use it to kill people invisible. Li Shang has seen this sword before. With a whoosh, his tablet was shattered into pieces. The rest of the Li family also have magical weapons, but unlike Li Delong and Li Yao's grandfather and son, the two of them prefer to fight and kill, while the others have other things to be busy with. Time passed quickly. The Li family did not recklessly go to Talon Town to cause trouble. Although Talon Town occasionally sent people to harass them, they did not even come close to the Li family's residence, and their heads were missing. Li family's 19th year. At that time, half of the people who invaded the Li family's residence survived. They received gifts from the Li family and cultivated fields outside the Li family, gradually forming villages. Li Delong asked him about this matter. It was also Li who wanted Li Delong to keep these people. Killing was always the last resort. The Li family has enough spiritual beasts. They can use their talents to summon water to irrigate farmland. Their excrement is the best fertilizer. In this disaster year, the victims sheltered by the Li family can farm and raise chickens and ducks. After paying taxes, they can also save the Li family's time in farming. In this way, in the near future, the food they produce will be able to support the spiritual beasts controlled by the family. And these disaster victims are also a good labor force. At this time, outside the Li family's residence, a large area of fertile farmland had been cultivated. In the fields, livestock can be seen running happily. The victims who were once skinny have gradually gained weight, and everyone has a smile on their face. Not only that, after having a workforce of nearly 500 people, the Li family's residence has changed its appearance. The courtyard they once built with stone has become a building with blue bricks and white tiles. It covers an area of 1,000 square meters and looks quite grand. Occasionally, you can see a few spiritual beasts jumping on the wall or soaring above it. Even so, villagers continued to grind the stones. After grinding the stones into regular shapes, they began to pave them on the ground outside Li's house. The Li family used to be lonely. At this time, there is really a tendency to gradually develop into a big family, and the place centered on the Li family has begun to become lively and prosperous. Ancestor, take a look, the big tree I planted in the spiritual beast garden is blooming. The Li family was still watching the development with admiration, but the joyful voice in the ancestral hall interrupted Li Zhang's thoughts. I saw Li Yaoqing running into the ancestral hall. The beast blood fruit tree. Is there finally any movement? Li Shang was overjoyed. He quickly clicked on Li Yaoqing's profile picture, and the ancestral tablet followed her perspective to the elixir garden. As expected, bright red flowers bloomed on the towering beast blood fruit tree. Cool. After bringing the beast blood fruit tree back, there has been no movement. Li Shang was still worried that the thing was damaged, but now he finally sees hope. Beast blood fruit tree. Status. After being watered with the blood of hundreds of human corpses and nourished by the blood of monks, it has absorbed enough nutrients, and the fruits it bears this year will be even more colorful. Quote question mark 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 quote. After clicking on the beast blood fruit tree and seeing the status information, Li Shang was dumbfounded. Then he looked at Li Yaoqing, who looked innocent and caressed the fruit with a gentle face under the big tree. My dear, you are too tortured. Since the invasion, he hadn't paid much attention to how the Li family disposed of the bodies. Now he understands. It turned out that hundreds of corpses had all been bled by this little girl and used to nourish the beast blood fruit tree. Li Shang didn't even dare to think about this kind of thing. If he dared to do this in reality, he would be denounced by the people of the whole country the next day. Well, but the result is good. Li Shang lowered his skills on the spot and gave Li Yaoqing a shot of love from the ancestor. Thank you, ancestor, for the reward. Feeling the warmth on her body, Li Yaoqing immediately knew that the mysterious ancestor was paying attention to her. A cheerful smile appeared on her face. Yaoqing will definitely cultivate the beast blood fruit tree for the ancestor in the future. No, Yaoqing wants to cultivate many beast blood fruit trees. Don't do such unscrupulous things just to raise trees. Otherwise, our Li family's little arms and legs will be regarded as demonic cultivators, and we really won't be able to protect them. Li Shang wiped the sweat from his head. Looking at the time in the game world, he saw that the next 10 years were about to arrive. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Hasn't Grandma Ling knocked on the door yet? It seems that she still has to come to see if my things are ready." He has long been prepared for this gift. Li Shang had just stood up when the antique phone in his pocket rang. Phone number, Uncle Han from the law firm. Has Uncle Han settled my family's affairs so quickly? Li Zhang's eyes lit up. Only if his family keeps giving him pocket money can he play games with peace of mind. Line connected. Just as he was about to speak, Li Shang was completely numb. "Xiao Li, I'm afraid I can't help you this time. Your new head of the family drove the spaceship overnight and ran away with the entire Li family." Li Shang was stunned. It took a long time before he spoke as if he was talking in a dream. "Shit, I'm not even on the ship yet. Don't worry, I'll probably help you sort out the matter. Look, it's rumored that your family leader was killed by a Star Destroyer cannon in the Tianwang Star territory. I don't think it's that simple. He has become an immortal, so he can't die so easily. He may have faked his death. Then, your senior management ran away first. They said they were going to take revenge, but they might have run away in advance. Soon after, your new head of the family cut off your capital chain. According to my experience, he didn't mean it. Your new head of the family was left to transfer the family property, so naturally he didn't have time to take care of your pocket money. If he was tricked by someone, even though he is dead, the main force of your family is still there. However, he is quite capable and ran away with all the members, taking away the family property quietly. To sum up, your Li family is transferring property, and you. Congratulations, you have been forgotten by the family and have become a pauper. Congratulations hold, thank you, Uncle Han. Li Shang said with a fake smile on his face. It's a small matter. By the way, if you are short of spiritual stone flowers and want to sell your villa, remember to contact me as soon as possible. Doo-doo. Li Shang is paralyzed. He originally thought that today Uncle Han would send lawyers from the law firm to surround the Li family and fight a beautiful lawsuit. The best thing would be to kill the ungrateful new owner and double his pocket money. But who knew how things would develop and reach the current situation? What happened? Li Shang still didn't react. He looked at Nuo Da's home with tears in his eyes. At this moment, his pocket money was really gone. The universe was so big that it was unlikely that he would find any family members. Overnight, he became a complete pauper, and his only property was everything in this villa. Da-da. At this time, the door of the room rang, and Li Shang opened the door with a sad face. This time, Yuexian's smile could not make his numb heart feel happy at all. Instead, he felt a little empty. The new head of the family, he forgot about him when he ran away. "Master, there is a letter at home, please read it." Yuexian looked at Li Zhang's expression, frowned, and handed Li Shang a letter. Li wanted to take it apart and take a look. The letter is from Li Zhengdao, the new head of the family. "Li Shang, I remember you beat me when I was a child, saying that I would never be the head of the family in this life, so I might as well let you be the head of the family. I think what you said makes sense. Now you are the last bloodline of the Li family on Earth. Now I make you the head of the Li family. Please support my Li family. You Li Zhengdao, you'd better not let me see you in this life." It must have been planned in advance. Li Shang took a deep breath. He no longer thought about this matter. He frowned and looked at Yuexian, who didn't know everything yet. "What do you think we should do if I become poor?" Yu Shandai frowned and thought seriously for a while. "Master, actually we can do this. There are 108 households in Jixian village. We can go to one house a day to have a meal and beg for some spiritual stones to live. This will not be too frequent and will not be offensive. You have many classmates, and you can also hang out at their homes." As she said that, she flashed the ring in her hand and waved a book in front of Li Zhang's eyes. "If that doesn't work, I have a secret book here." Mysterious thief. Yeah, that's very thoughtful. Li Shang simply forced a smile, left the house, and arrived in front of Grandma Ling's house. Bang bang bang. Knocked on the door. But this time, Grandma Ling was not as warm as the last time they met. She looked at Li Shang and said, Xiao Li, are you here to get your things? It's not time yet. In a bad mood, Li didn't want to talk nonsense to this old guy, so he simply extended his hand. Neighbors, who doesn't know each other? Grandma Ling's skills are hard to find in the world, how could she not practice well? Li Shang said with a smile. Besides, the guard, Uncle Chen, praised Grandma Ling's skills. Grandma Ling's face turned red for a moment, and she slammed the crutch in her hand on the ground. Don't think that you can threaten me just by relying on the guard Lao Chen. Having said that, it's not a threat. It's just that you have to be on guard against others. Grandma Ling also knows that I'm cautious, so she just kept a guard up. Li Shang still kept smiling, no matter how fake his smile was. Snort. Having said that, Grandma Ling didn't say much. She threw a ring to Li Shang and snorted. Boy, in the past, you had the Li family to rely on, and the people in Jishenjuang gave you face. But I heard. After a pause, Grandma Ling looked at Li Zhang's back and sneered, without the Li family, you are nothing. You know the warmth and coldness of people in the world. When you are kicked out of Jixian village, no one will give you face anymore. It's up to you what to do. Bang! The door to Grandma Ling's house was closed. Li Shang looked gloomy, knowing that he and Grandma Ling had completely fallen out. No, in other words, they had already fallen out when they handed the mysterious spear to Grandma Ling. The entire Jixian village knew that Grandma Ling's weapon refining skills were astonishing, and she was not a treacherous person. The reason why Li Shang talked with Grandma Ling for so long was to see if she would replace his mysterious spear. The result was not good, so he found the doorman, Uncle Chen. Shit, I lost my home and got into trouble with a cruel old lady. He cursed secretly. Li Shang suddenly raised his head, glanced at the sky, and rubbed his face. Grandma Ling is right. Without the Li family, I am nothing. But now, it's time to fight. He thought of the struggles of the Li family in the game. He is an ancestor. How can you disgrace your tribe? From today on, be a hard-working patriarch. ... Master, were you hit? Are you okay? In Villa number 1, Yuexian couldn't help but feel a little nervous when she saw Li Shang returning home excitedly. Li Shang, she smiled brightly. Who do you think I am? Isn't it just that my home is gone and my pocket money is gone? Do you think your master is the kind of person who just messes up when something happens? Yuexian thought for a long time before hesitating. No. ... No more talking. Feeling sad, Li Shang ordered, go and contact number 104 and ask Boss Qi to come to me in 2 hours. Then he quickly returned to the room. Li wants to know that now that the Li family is gone, his only reliance is the golden finger of the Immortal family simulator. At this time, Li Shang concentrated his attention. In the computer, the Li family is developing more and more rapidly, and the villagers have also formed a fighting force. They even produced 2 monks. A team of 20 soldiers composed of villagers is patrolling the village. In the 19th year of the Li family, the victims sheltered by the Li family formed a village that began to take shape, called Xian Village. The villagers were protected by the Li family and worshipped the Li family. Get incense plus 200. What the hell, I've only been out for a while, has it already turned into this? Li Shang was overjoyed and secretly said that his original choice was right. Soon, the game screen changes. In the 20th year of the Li family, your descendants prepared the altar and started the grand ceremony that takes place every 20 years. Your descendants have prepared sacrifices for you. 51st level beast blood fruits. Bily pigeon cubs, 1 male and 1 female. It has been detected that the Bily pigeon baby is a living creature. Do you want to spend 10 points of incense to take it out? It can indeed be taken out. Li Zhang's eyes brightened. These sacrifices were all sent by him through the temple guardian beasts and sent by the Li family. Although his family members in the present world ran away, Li Shang was a little shocked, but not panicked at all. Because these sacrifices can also bring him huge benefits, and he also has the qualifications to stand up. Take out. Soon, 50 beast blood fruits appeared next to the incense burner on the table. These animal blood fruits are brightly colored, and the smell of blood penetrates their noses. Li Zhang's face showed joy. First level beast blood fruit. Animal blood fruit cultivated with blood, combined with the essence of heaven and earth spiritual energy, Each one has 50 points of spiritual energy, and the human body can digest it up to 80%. Divine fruit. Li Shang couldn't help but grin. The Immortal cultivation simulator was more intelligent than he thought. In the game world, there is no such thing as points for aura. In the real world, with the blessing of technology, human beings have differentiated the spiritual energy ingested during practice by points. If a monk at the first level of chi refining wants to break through, he only needs 100 spiritual energy points. And every additional level only requires 10% more spiritual energy. The worse the qualifications, the slower the speed of absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but such a fruit can directly allow people to store spiritual energy for slow digestion. It was hard for Li Shang to imagine that if such a magical fruit was sold, how many children from wealthy families would flock to it. Immediately afterwards, there is Bili Pigeon. Chirp. 2 cubs that had not opened their eyes in the bird's nest were screaming. Logically speaking, such ordinary spirit beast cubs were not worth mentioning at all. But, for the modern world, these 200-mile pigeons are a completely new species. As long as Li Shang brings them to monstrologists, I'm afraid those perverted scientists who are secretly studying monstrology will fight for these 2 little things, and may even award Li Shang a Monster Discovery Award. But Li Shang didn't intend to deal with these 2 little things like this. The things have been delivered. It seems that we won't have to eat and drink everywhere in a short time. Li Shang breathed a sigh of relief. Just when Li Shang was stroking the beast blood fruit, he was stunned for a moment when a box appeared in front of the computer. Can I quickly absorb the aura of the beast blood fruit? 1 point of aura consumes 1 point of incense. Li Shang was stunned for a moment. Quick absorption. Is there this function? You know, although the medicine is in the body, it is difficult to absorb into the meridians. In an instant, Li Shang knew how terrifying this function was. As long as he has enough incense value and enough animal blood fruits, he can. With a whoop sound, he flew straight to the wonderland. But Li Shang still held back and clicked, no. This little spiritual energy isn't enough to fill the gap between your teeth. He shrugged. Look at the game interface again. The sacrifice has been delivered. Would you like to give it to your descendants? Li Shang stood up suddenly and cleaned up the things around him. He glanced at the mysterious spear that Naji Li Ling's grandma had unsealed. At this time, the spear was already shining brightly. But besides that, there is something else inside. Contraband items for ordinary monks in this world. He and Grandma Ling chatted for an hour, and Grandma Ling was so happy that she agreed to give him something. Although there was some unpleasantness later, Grandma Ling still gave her what she promised. Teleport. As Li Shang clicked the mouse, a huge creature suddenly appeared in the room. Delivering the gift from our ancestors. War puppet. Hi, the huge purple thunder Tianyang python neighed at the worshipping Li family disciples, conveying the meaning of the ancestors' spring. Li Shang became more and more convinced that he was Voldemort himself. At this time, everyone in the Li family in the game was kneeling down one after another in gratitude. The ancestor accepted the sacrifice this time. He is very satisfied with the sacrifice. Great, our ancestors should not be disappointed with us this time. After Li Delong knelt down and worshipped, he said to the sacred beast protecting the temple, please ask the sacred beast to ask the ancestor if he has any wishes to convey. What great descendants! Always be prepared to listen to the teachings of your ancestors. Li Shang thought for a moment and entered it into the game. Keep working hard and develop the clan well. Hi, Seeing the purple thunder Tianyang python making Voldemort's cry again, Li Shang couldn't help but wonder, could it be that he was really a mysterious villain according to the game's settings? And Shu Kuiwa hurriedly said to Li Delong, as for the head of the family, the ancestor has said that he is very satisfied and allows us to develop the family well. Ancestor, don't worry. Li Delong was about to slap his ancestor in the fart. He was suddenly startled, and quickly pulled his wife and children to kneel behind him and bow down. He saw golden lights emerging from the ancestral tablets. The ancestors showed their spirits again. In an instant, everyone kowtowed quickly. Just hearing a boom in front of the memorial tablet in the Li family ancestral hall, a huge creature appeared in the yard. Its height was even as high as the sluggish purple thunder Tianyang python, 10 meters tall. It was a day of severe drought, and the scorching sunshine shone on this giant thing. The dazzling luster made everyone unable to open their eyes for a moment. When they really saw the whole thing, their faces were full of horror. This object stands like a human being, with sharp edges and corners. Its silver appearance has a smooth metallic luster. Its blood vessels seem to be exposed, and various parts of its body seem to be glowing. Elementary war puppet. Seeing the confused and horrified looks of his descendants, Li Shang was even more satisfied. This thing, in this world, is called a psychic mecha. Its interior uses biotechnology, which allows it to have the same agile mobility as humans, as well as the ability to operate the spiritual energy meridians of humans. On the outside, it is an original technological mecha, using nanotechnology to connect the flesh and blood at the core. As long as you swallow the spirit stones, those spirit stones will continuously provide energy to the mecha, and can even actively charge. The junior mecha has the ability to reach the pinnacle of foundation building and can even compete with masters who have just entered the golden elixir stage. And such a mecha, it was also the initial method developed by the American Empire to fight against monsters when humans were recovering from spiritual energy. Then after Washa's continuous development and continuous iteration, it finally became like this. Similarly, because it is so lethal, it has become contraband for ordinary people on the earth. But for Grandma Ling, such contraband is easy to come by. What is this? Such a strong sense of oppression. Is this the true form of our ancestors? Powerful ancestor. The descendants of the Li family are excited. Just by seeing it, they can already feel the power of the war puppet. It's not just them. Even the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python stared at this war puppet in horror. It felt that it was no match for this guy. Original body. In front of the computer screen, Li Shang raised the corners of his mouth slightly. At the beginning, he also wanted to give the mecha to his descendants and teach them how to operate it step by step. But now, he found that the family cultivation simulator had more functions and was more user-friendly than he had imagined. Your gift, the primary war puppet, has been delivered. It has been detected that the war puppet has a control system. Would you like to establish contact? Practical operation of the primary war puppet requires 5,000 incense points. Ding. Insufficient incense value. The war puppet enters autonomous combat mode. That is to say, he is able to control war puppets to fight outside the game through spiritual contact. Just like VR control. I can definitely feel every plant and tree in the game world. Li Zhang's eyes widened. The more you play Shoxian Family Simulator, the more functions it seems to be able to develop. Suppress the excitement in your heart. Li Shang looked at the incense value. In this grand ceremony, your descendants will feel the power from their ancestors, and the incense value will be +100. Look toward the upper right corner. Incense value 2106. I have been accumulating incense points over the years, but there are still not enough points to establish a connection with the war puppet. There's still a long way to go. Li didn't think too hastily. His original idea was not to control the mecha, but to make this mecha the trump card of the Li family. After all, the Li family still has the Hu family as an enemy. If it is not handled properly, the entire Talon town may be destroyed, become their enemy. This is why Li wanted to send the war puppet there. And, apart from the elixir, this is also the best thing Li Shang can send so far. The 20th year of the Li family, after the big sacrifice. As Xian village became more and more prosperous, Li Yaozu, who was only 15 years old, frequently visited Xian village. He secretly fell in love with Ku Xiaoxiao, the daughter of Ku Chengming, the first level of qi refining and the village chief of Xian village. Under the stars, using the sky as a quilt and the grass as a bed, I secretly eat the forbidden fruit and enter my soul. Ku Xiaoxiao is pregnant. Puff. Looking at the game's event list, Li Shang squirted water on the screen. Then he quickly wiped the screen and clicked on Li Yaozu's message to see what Li Yaozu's eldest son had done. The moon was dark and the wind was high. Two figures hug each other on the grass, with conspicuous words above their heads. Xiaoxiao, you are so beautiful. Your hands seem to be very small, let me see. Your eyes are also very beautiful. Your nose is so small. Ah ha ha. Quote. Hold. Li Zhang's face darkened. I never expected that Li Yaozu, who usually only knows how to practice swordsmanship and is no different from a lunatic when killing enemies, would be so good at picking up girls? You're going to make this girl's lips turn into a mouth. After thinking for a while, Li Zhang's expression suddenly became strange. Use love from ancestors, consuming 20 points of incense. In an instant, a purple light lit up in the dark night and fell on Li Yaozu. The little guy holding the girl's hand suddenly had a dull look in his eyes. Ah, brother Yaozu, what kind of light is this? Ku Xiaoxiao was startled. Ah, Li Yaozu finally reacted and knelt down quickly in the dark night, as if he was guilty of committing a crime. Ancestor, thank you for your gift. Please don't tell Dad. If he knows that I'm messing around, I'm afraid he'll break my legs. He dares. Li Shang suddenly stared. Li Delong had not given birth to a child for several years. If he dared to stop Li Yaozu from having a child, Li Shang dared to let the purple thunder Tianyang python break Li Delong's legs. Besides, the raw rice has already been cooked. Li Shang switched the screen and did not disturb the tenderness of the young couple. He sped up the screen and waited expectantly for the third-generation member of the Li family to come out. As expected, on the next day, Li Yaozu, who knew he had been discovered, stayed up all night, tossing and turning until dawn. He bit the bullet and found his parents and told what happened between him and Ku Xiaoxiao. Li Yaozu was immediately dragged to the ancestral hall. Ancestors, please calm down. Marriage is a matter of parents' orders and matchmakers' words. Li Delong knelt on the ground in fear. My son Yaozu did something like an animal without his consent. Yes, he did something unruly to the daughter of the Ku family. Please punish me, ancestor. Li Yaozu looked pale and knelt on the ground. Please punish me, ancestor. Yaozu will never dare to do it again. Ah, at this moment, Li Shang finally realized that the concepts in the game world were a bit backward. It wasn't like the strange things he had seen in his previous life, which were done over and over again to create a new trend. Even in the real world, embryo parenting has become a trend. Ancestor, calm down. In the game, when Li Delong saw that his ancestor had not responded for a long time, he thought that his ancestor was angry. He gritted his teeth, raised his knife, and stared at his eldest son fiercely. You traitor, take off your pants. How did I teach you growing up? You dare to harm the daughter of the Ku family. How can I have the honor to see my ancestors after my death? How can I have the honor to explain to Ku Changming? Dad, what are you doing? Li Yaozu looked at his father's raised knife in horror, and was already talking nonsense in a panic. My child. I only have one. Stop. Seeing the scenes in the game screen, Li Yaozu was not anxious yet, but he was already anxious just thinking about it. He secretly thought. He never imagined that Li Delong would be so cruel that he wanted to cut his son into pieces. Li Shang quickly clicked on the avatar of the purple thunder Tianyang python and urgently saved Li Yaozu's route. Hi, Li Yaozu pulled his pants tightly and felt as if he was being pardoned when he saw the sacred beast protecting the temple saying, Dad, look, our ancestors have conveyed his will. As the purple thunder Tianyang python shook its head towards Li Delong. Li Delong then put down his sword and said fiercely to Li Yaozu, our ancestors spared you, why don't you kneel down and thank your ancestors? Wait, follow me to the Ku family, take the betrothal gift and go to the Ku family to propose marriage. The face of our Li family, I've all been ruined by you, you beast. Thank you, ancestor, for saving me. Li Yaozu's sweat had wet the ground. In front of the screen, Li Shang also wiped the cold sweat from his head. He was almost his good descendants were going to practice evil sword skills. As for losing face to the Li family, he is not as conservative as Li Yaozu, but he wants to learn from Li Yaozu, a good descendant. Soon, the Li family gave a betrothal gift, and Ku Changming of the Ku family was not so conservative. Instead, he was happy because he could marry the benefactor's child. Finally, the picture is decorated with lanterns. Red lanterns are hung in front of the door, and happy words are plastered all over the houses in Xian village, as well as on the doors and windows of the Li family. The entire Xian village came to the Li family to congratulate them and held a big banquet. A pair of newlyweds, who looked slightly immature in appearance, walked to the front of the ancestral hall, and gongs and drums sounded. Worship heaven and earth. 2 Thanks to Gaotang. Li Yaozu is getting married today. I would like to invite you to drink tea in front of the ancestral hall. Incense plus 30. Someone of the second generation of the Li family finally got married, and the third generation is about to come out. With a family full of descendants, the Li family can truly be considered prosperous. Cool. Li Shang took a sip of his drink. The husband and wife bow to each other and enter the bridal chamber. As Li Yaozu and Ku Xiaoxiao got married, the entire Li family was happy for a while. Even the Xian village outside the Li family was happy. They were all happy for the Li family's happy event. And the Li family did not slow down their development because of this matter. In the 21st year of the Li family, Li Delong discovered that monks from Tailin town were wandering outside Xian village every day. He knew that Tailin town had not forgotten what happened before. He felt the crisis and asked his ancestors what to do. We cannot stop developing. Li Shang took a deep breath. After all the members of the Li family ran away in this world, he took this game more seriously than before. Now the Li family is basically isolated and surrounded by Tailin town. As long as we dare to move in the direction of Tailin town, if we take one step forward, I'm afraid the Hu family will take the opportunity to gather people from Tailin town to deal with the Li family. In this case, I'm not sure if I can fight. Finally, Li Shang clicked on the avatar of the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python and entered the text. Hi, the beasts protecting the temple screamed. Shu Kuiwen knelt in front of Li Delong and instantly understood the meaning conveyed by the temple guardian beast. The ancestors said that difficulties can promote our progress. As the Li family, we should never stop moving forward. We should find a breakthrough. The Hu family, it blocks the direction of our development, but we don't only have one direction. Hearing this, Li Delong's eyes brightened. He kowtowed repeatedly and said, "Thank you, ancestor, for your guidance. I have enlightened. Daughter-in-law, call our people. We can't trade with Tailin town or buy elixirs from them, but there is a whole silver iron forest behind us. And with the help of the temple guardian beasts, we can go deeper than before. There are also more people fighting with us." Soon, Li Shang saw Li Delong gathering all the current combat power of the Li family. At this time, everyone in the Li family was no longer what they used to be. Li Delong continued to take the beast blood fruit and reached the 8th level of qi refining. Even though Li Yaozu is married, he still looks like a desperate man, and he has reached the 5th level of qi refining. Everyone else has grown, especially the most qualified Li Yaoti, who was 13 years old and at the 3rd level of qi refining. He looked like a cow and was rougher than Li Delong. He was carrying a big hammer on his back and was shirtless. Li Yaoqing was flying around on a giant eagle, also at the 3rd level of qi refining. Only Li Yaoan, who is now 6 years old, seems to have pretty good spiritual roots, but has not become a monk for a long time. She is a good daughter of a cultivating family, but she has no power to restrain a chicken. The only advantage is that she is getting more and more beautiful and knowledgeable. She also has a trait, but this trait is negative. Sickly. Li Yaoan hardly participated in all the battles. As always, he spent the quiet time at home holding a book in his hand, reading poems and cheerleading. At this time, except for the Li family and their monsters, Xian village also assembled a team of 18 people. In the past 2 years, 4 monks have appeared in Xian village, and the rest are hunters who have been trained for 2.5 years. They all contributed to the construction of the village, and they all received the animal blood fruit as a reward from the Li family. Although Li Delong has never made any demands on them, these people have already been silently loyal to the Li family. As the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python came out of the Li family courtyard, Li Delong held the ancestral tablet in his hand, jumped on top of the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python, and raised his right hand high. Set off. Seeing everyone in the Li family heading towards Yintilan, Li Shang let out a long breath. Although the Li family has been developing rapidly recently and even owns a village, hundreds of villagers work for the Li family, and the Li family's buildings are becoming more and more prosperous. But Li Shang could see that this was only superficial prosperity. Xian village is vulnerable. Even the monks who have never seen blood are nothing more than mere charades. This time we marched to Yintilan to train troops and test the results. By the way, you can get a lot of resources, slowly grow the Li family, and break through the blockade of Tailin town. Soon, Li Shang saw the Li family fighting in the Silver Iron Forest. Li Delong was a skilled old hunter. He was also very cautious. Even with a large number of people, he was still cautious and spent a whole week guiding the people in the village. Hunt monsters. Everything went smoothly. With the protection of the purple thunder sky python, there was no danger outside the silver iron forest. Li Shang felt relieved. Right now, there was a knock on the door of the room. Master, Boss Chi is here. Yuexian's voice sounded outside the door. Li Shang glanced at the screen again and squinted. All the descendants in the game have worked so hard. As the ancestor, I can't let the Li family lose face. Yu Xian, please invite Boss Chi to come and sit at home and prepare milk tea. Gulu. On the sofa in the very cozy living room, opposite Li Shang sat a fat middle-aged man. The sparse hair on his head could hardly cover the uneven shape of his head, which was a bit shiny. At this moment, the famous businessman in the villa area, Boss Chi, was holding a cup of milk tea and taking a sip. Then he frowned, feeling that the taste was weird, so he took another sip. Master Xiao Li, I heard that you are here to discuss business with me. When Boss Chi spoke, his attention was more focused on the milk tea. Look at him. Li Shang raised his eyebrows. If this guy had talked to him like this before, he probably knew about the Li family's collective runaway. You can also think of it as me and you discussing business. Li Shang was neither humble nor overbearing, and immediately caught Boss Chi's attention. The fat on the face of this greasy middle-aged man trembled, and he immediately stared at Li Shang with a smile on his face. I'm just telling you, the Li family has a great business. How could something happen suddenly and everyone escape? It seems that the Li family has. Is there any strategic industrial transfer? Being a man of 2 generations, Li Shang could tell that Boss Chi was testing him. Li Shang did not express his position. Because the Li family really ran away, but even if they ran away, he could still support the Li family. After all, no one knew what happened to the Li family. He chuckled and said, Boss Chi, this is too much to ask. Is it possible that a small person like me can't do business with you? Can. Boss Chi grinned. Master Li, please tell me. It's not about talking, it's about seeing. Li Shang threw a naji to Boss Chi. When Boss Chi took the ring, a red fruit appeared in his hand. He felt the spiritual energy in the fruit and frowned. Then the watch on his left hand glowed, scanning the beast blood fruit. This time, his expression suddenly solidified. There has never been such a variety on our planet. Each one contains 100 points of spiritual energy and can be stored in the human body for digestion, but the fruit is full of blood. I'm afraid it was cultivated with blood, which is a bit illegal, Master Xiao Li. Is it a violation of the law? I am the most law-abiding person. Since it is a violation of the law, let's forget it. Li Shang stretched out his hand with a smile. Seeing this, Boss Chi's mouth twitched. He originally wanted to use this opportunity to negotiate the price, but who knew that Li Shang, a kid like Li Shang, was not good enough. Haha, Mr. Li, I think you are a bit serious, but it is within the rules. I have been in business for so many years, and I know how to handle it. That's good. I heard from my family that this thing is good news for monks in the qi refining period. 1 pill is nothing, but a few or even more, the more effective it will be. Tisk tisk, rich people children have been eating it, even if their qualifications are very poor. I am afraid that they can have enough to break through the foundation building stage without becoming an adult. Li Shang grinned. Boss Chi, how much do you think this is worth? As Li wanted to tell the function of the fruit, as well as the value of the fruit. Boss Chi immediately squeezed the milk tea cup tightly. He always felt that he had been manipulated by this young Li family. Is there more? Boss Chi didn't say much. He knew that there was no point in talking to Li Shang, a shrewd young man, and he would probably be more passive. If Mr. Li can trust me, I will. If I can help Mr. Li find a buyer, I'll give you 20%. 20%. Li Zhang's face turned cold, and he slowly stretched out his hand. 3%, otherwise no discussion. 15. 3%, I have more. 10. In the end, under Li Zhang's negotiation, the agency fee was set at 5%. Boss Chi smiled bitterly and said, Master Li, your new head of the family has also done business with me. I thought you were the same as him. It seems that you are. I thought too much. Now in my opinion, Li Zhengdao is just a pig. Hearing this, Li Shang clenched his fists immediately. He immediately realized that when Li Zhengdao ran away with his family, he did business with Boss Qi. He said calmly, "Oh, so he is doing business with you. He didn't tell me this. The new clan leader, you might as well be the new clan leader." Boss Qi shrugged, smiled and stuffed the ring into his pocket. "Master Shaoli, I will help you sell these 20 pieces first, and also to set a pattern for our cooperation. I believe we can make a fortune." "Okay." Seeing Boss Qi about to leave, Li Shang said, "Boss Qi, wait a minute, there is something else here that I want you to see." "Oh." Boss Qi suddenly raised his eyebrows. He became more and more suspicious that the Li family had not run away at all, but had found some resource-rich planet and planned to develop it secretly. And Li Shang is the spokesperson of the Li family, preparing to grow secretly and cause big trouble. Soon, Li Shang took out a bird's nest from the room. Scanning with his watch in the same way, Boss Qi's expression gradually became wonderful, a new species with aura. Li Shang also understood Boss Qi's expression. With the development of the interstellar world, there are many new species, but monsters are monsters, and they are rare in the universe. Boss Qi, I think you can understand the value of this thing. I don't want you to sell it to some perverted beastologist. Li Shang said with a smile, but you must bring me enough spiritual stones. Can you understand? Clear. Boss Qi recovered from the surprise of seeing the new species and breathed a long sigh of relief. Don't worry, Mr. Li, Lao Qi, will never waste this incredible wealth. Everything will be done secretly, and no one will notice you. Do business on this planet. As for your future spending on spiritual stones, I will find a way. Boss Qi, please. Li Shang smiled and invited Boss Qi out of the house, and then breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, I can support myself and can play games with peace of mind again. He hurried back to the room, always observing the development of the Li family. And outside the door, Boss Qi rubbed his face. I knew the Li family didn't run away. No wonder Li Shang was left behind. This guy is so shrewd, like a man who has lived for hundreds of years. I didn't learn anything from him at all. Come up with something to say. They are all new things. They are even newer than the pills sold by the Li family's previous pharmaceutical company. They can develop new markets and make a fortune. There are also these two species called Bili pigeons, tisk tisk. The Li family is really doing it this time. It's about to take off secretly. I can make money. Back in the room, Li Shang pressed his heartbeat. This was his first time discussing business in 2 lifetimes. When negotiating with Boss Qi, a few seemingly relaxed words almost racked his brain. He not only wanted to make Boss Qi feel that the Li family was still behind him, but also pretended that he could not reveal any information about the Li family, and even wanted to let Boss Qi see the huge benefits. At the same time, try to pretend to be very confident as much as possible. If he didn't hold back, the result would be that people's hearts are sinister. Boss Qi would know that he didn't have the Li family to back him up, so he might catch him on his way to school and ask him where the things came from. If every step is sinister, then the common man is not guilty and the jade is guilty. But the result is good. No. Li Shang suddenly realized the crux of the problem. On the way to school. Why am I going to school? I'm starting a business. Stop thinking about these things. He has left it to Boss Qi to handle. As long as there is money to be made, businessmen like Boss Qi will work hard for him. Li Shang quickly set his sights on the game. Anyway, he must always pay attention to the trends in the game. Although the Li family is still in the qi refining period, the things they produce have a unique market in the qi refining period in this world, especially the beast blood fruit produced by the beast blood fruit tree. He is currently the one who can make a fortune. Li Delong, along with members of the Li family and the villagers of Xian village, hunted together and brought back a large amount of trophies. Capturing monster beasts. Violent tiger. Get the elixir. Spirit gathering grass. Get. In the game screen, Li Delong has returned with everyone in the Li family and the prey. Li Shang looked at the growing Li family residence. He found that the Li family was now self-sufficient and had even formed a certain ecological chain. The villagers of Xian village farmed and raised livestock to supply the current 50 monsters in the Spirit Beast Park, gradually meeting their needs. The demonic beasts have their blood drawn by Li Yaoking every day, and they have been able to support the beast blood fruit trees to grow first-level beast blood fruits. The beast blood fruit trees bear fruit every 10 years, and the number of beast blood fruit trees at one time is about 80 to 100 beast blood fruit trees. At this time, Li Yaoqing, after several years of research, had begun to plant another animal blood fruit tree. If you want to have more beast blood fruit trees, you need more people, plant more food, and raise more livestock. Li wants to realize it. He clearly knows the importance of the beast blood fruit tree. Not only can this thing sell well, but as long as he has enough incense value, this thing can also allow him to break through his current realm. Li Shang quickly called Li Delong over. Please give instructions from our ancestors. Li Delong worshipped devoutly towards the spiritual throne that shone with purple light. He did not believe in gods and Buddhas, but only believed in his ancestors. As the purple thunder Tianyang python roared, Shu Kuiwa on the side quickly translated, Master, our ancestors have ordered that we need more people. Only in this way can we have enough people to plant more fields, and use my beast control skills to raise more spiritual beasts. Delong understands, our ancestors have long-term plans. Li Delong's eyes brightened and he knelt down to Li Zhang's memorial tablet. Daughter-in-law, I understand what our ancestors meant. Our ancestors are not as simple as you said. Shu Kuiwa and Li Shang in front of the screen were both stunned for a moment. Just listen to Li Delong say, what our ancestors want is not just fields and spiritual beasts. He has a long-term vision and sees the blockade of Talon Town on us, so when we have a larger population, we can even develop it must be more prosperous than Talon Town. In that case, we will be able to attract businessmen and powerful customers. We can dominate the area and completely crush Talon Town in the near future. Li Delong looked like a madman, as expected of our ancestors, long live our ancestors. Quote. The peanut that Li Shang just put in his mouth fell out of his mouth as his mouth opened wide. After a long time, he pursed his lips and said, well, it's not impossible. The sound of keyboard typing sounded. The purple thunder Tianyang python roared again, and a shot of love from the ancestor fell on Li Delong, expressing Li Zhang's appreciation. Then Li Delong quickly started to act. He sent an old man from Xian village in all directions. In this era, as long as they had food to eat, many victims would be grateful. Li Shang estimates that Xian village will have a larger population soon. It didn't take long. Another good news came from the game. Hu Xiaoxiao was pregnant for 10 months and successfully gave birth to a son, named Li Yunlin. Congratulations, you got incense plus 10. Li Shang found that as the Li family became more and more powerful, the more incense he could get each time. The third-generation member of the Li family was born. The entire Xian village held a banquet to congratulate their employer. The entire Li family was decorated with lights and colorful decorations. Everyone in the Li family gathered around Li Yunlin who was in the cradle and rejoiced at the appearance of a new member of the Li family. Li Shang was equally happy. This newborn spiritual root is better than that of everyone in the Li family, 3 spiritual roots. Although such spiritual roots are still miscellaneous spiritual roots, their cultivation speed is multiples of those of the 5 elements miscellaneous spiritual roots. In the days that followed, the Li family continued to develop in an orderly manner. Li Shang quietly watched the growth of a family. Then he smiled again. In the 23rd year of the Li family, the population of Xian village reached 1,548. Li Yaoqing, who is on the 4th level of qi refining, has been planting medicinal herbs in the spiritual beast garden for many years. He has deeply studied the special methods of spiritual medicine and planting in the Qi Practitioner's Practice Manual and has achieved success. By chance, I obtained a copy of the 1000 Herbs Classic from an old doctor in Xian village and made my first medicinal powder, Nuangshe powder. Li Yaoqing obtained a profession, 9th grade pharmacist. She felt it and her wood spirit root value reached 60, breaking through to the 5th level of qi refining. Occupation: a pharmacist appears. Li Shang slapped his thigh. There are not many pharmacists in the world anymore. With the development of science and technology, the profession of pharmacists has been replaced by a petri dish. But this is only one of the reasons. The more reason is that wanting to become a pharmacist may even be more complicated than becoming an alchemist. I heard that at the beginning of the recovery of spiritual energy, pharmacists once replaced doctors. Powerful pharmacists can even resurrect human flesh and bones, and can also kill people invisible. He suddenly clicked on Li Yaoking's profile picture. At this time, Li Yaoking was seen in front of the beast blood fruit tree, happily stroking a packet of medicinal powder and running around a large copper stove. It's done, ancestors bless me, I'm done. She is only 16 years old, and she is in her prime, but for some reason, the daughter of the Li family does not like to communicate with outsiders. This is true for Li Yaoan, who studies at home every day, and the same is true for Li Yaoking. She was wearing a simple black robe with a ponytail, and her exposed skin looked dirty. Her appearance was not as beautiful as Li Yaoan's, but more of a simple and delicate look. She spent almost all her time taking care of the elixirs grown in the Li family's medicine garden. Li Yaoking, second generation. Occupation: 9th grade pharmacist. Realm: 5th level of Qi refining. Spiritual roots: 5 series miscellaneous spiritual roots. Exercise techniques: Qi receiving technique, 1000 grass sutra, swift wind step. Trait: plant affinity. Li Shang is also happy for Li Yaoking's growth. As Li Yaoking grew up, many people with injuries and illnesses in Xian village began to ask Li Yaoking for diagnosis and treatment, which also gradually increased Li Yaoking's reputation, and by the way, Li Yaoking's status as a pharmacist continued to improve. At the same time, Li Shang also gradually felt the importance of Li Yaoking. Your descendant Li Yaoking cured the hidden illness of the villager, Li Ergo, in Xian village. He was finally able to have normal with his wife. The Li family gained merit and incense +1. In addition to special events, progeny, and the birth of descendants, Li Shang once again has a way to obtain incense. Li Shang glanced at the incense. Over time, his incense has accumulated more than 3,000 points. Soon, he will be able to control the war puppet. In the 25th year of the Li family discovered the black iron vein in the silver iron forest. When it was about to be developed, a monk from Xian village and 3 guards guarding the mine were killed. Special event: oh shit. Li Shang was also delighted when the mineral vein was discovered. Although black iron is an ordinary iron, it has strong resistance to oxygen and is an excellent material for making weapons and agricultural tools in the game world. Li Shang had even discussed with Li Delong how to use black iron, but who would have thought that it would be robbed in the blink of an eye. In the Li family ancestral hall. Ancestor, please calm down. Delong failed to guard the black iron mine and allowed people from the Wang family in Talon town to rob it. He also allowed people from Xian village to be killed. Delong has neglected his duty. Please punish him. Do not blame you. Li wanted the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python to convey the message. He narrowed his eyes. Are they from Talon town again? In fact, the Li family has always met people from Talon town. Except for the Hu family, other families generally get along well with the Li family. But once interests are touched, friction like this becomes inevitable. But this time, it was bloody for the black iron ore. As the Li family develops and grows, Talon town will also regard the Li family as a thorn in the side and a thorn in the flesh. This is inevitable. Li Zhang's expression remained calm as he typed on the keyboard. Go to the black iron mine and kill 4 of them as well. Leave the other members of the Wang family alive and let them take a message to the Wang family and ask their clan leader to come and talk. We can do a big deal. Talk about business. Under his wife's translation, Li Delong understood what Li Shang meant and was a little confused. Then Li Shang told Li Delong more details, and Li Delong's eyes became brighter. Soon, he walked outside Li's house, and the relatives of those killed in the black iron mine had already knelt down outside Li's house, crying. Li Delong looked at the villagers gathered in Xian village. Our Li family has been protecting Xian village over the years. I also hope that Xian village can be happy and healthy forever, because each of us is an honest person with good intentions. But things in this world always backfire. We can't be sure who will bring us disaster and bad news on any day. But what I can be sure of is that no matter who it is, they will pay an unbearable price. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. I, Li Delong, assure you that their nightmare has been. Here we go. With Li Delong's guarantee, all the people in Xian village felt the majesty of the Li family, winning the hearts of almost everyone, and their reputation increased. Get incense +100. This guy is becoming more and more like a superior. Seeing Li Delong's majestic appearance in front of others, Li Shang was also a little relieved. Although he controls the development direction of the entire Li family behind the scenes, people in NQ know nothing about him, and a person with leadership skills is very important. In the current Li family, only Li Delong has good leadership ability after years of training. He is growing from an Orion to a qualified clan leader little by little. Time flies in the game. Li Shang opened the map, and 13 white dots appeared outside Xian village. As the game develops, the map of the game has also changed. The game system seems to determine who is one of your own, and your own people are marked green on the map. As for the neutral, it's white. If it is judged as hostile, it will be like the red mark where the Hu family is in Talon town. Ancestor, people from the Talon Wang family are here. After the people from the Talon Wang family appeared, Li Delong immediately came to kneel in the ancestral hall and skillfully put Li Zhang's tablet in his pocket. Please protect me, ancestors. According to Li Delong's words, it means fighting together with the tablets of our ancestors. On the way to where the Li family resides behind Xian village, a group of 13 people were dressed in gorgeous clothes. In front of them was an old man and a middle-aged man. They were Wang Chaoyuan, the head of the Wang family, and the third elder of the Wang family who had been in seclusion for many years. I didn't expect that the Li family would develop like this in such a short period of time. Wang Chaoyuan looked at the large-scale building on it with a solemn expression. Humph, it's just that they have a master who can kill the ancestor of the Hu family. Their background is still lacking. That is what he said, but the third elder of the Wang family was also cautious. Don't enter the Li family's residence later, I'm afraid they will set up an ambush. After all, we killed their people in the Black Iron Mine, and this is also our first contact. Li family. No matter how stupid the Li family is, there is no way that there are 3 ordinary people who can make enemies of us just for the sake of a mere chi refining level 1. Wang Chaoyuan said firmly. The Li family has just started, and they already have a grudge against the Hu family. They don't dare to get even half a step closer to Talon town. According to my guess, their head Li Delong is probably going to fight with us through this incident. The Wang family may establish a deal and even want to develop black iron ore with us. Said. Wang Chaoyuan's eyes were deep. Third elder, this is also an opportunity for us. The Hu family's industry is getting bigger and bigger, and Talon town does not need the 4 major families. If the Li family can be used to eradicate the Hu family, we can work with Su. The Chen family invited the Li family to settle in Talon town and slowly eroded the Li family. After the words fell, the 2 members of the Wang family looked at each other, both seeing the cunning in each other's eyes. But soon, everyone in the Wang family changed their minds. When they arrived at the Li family's residence, they saw no welcome from the Li family, only the 4 coffins placed in front of the Li family's door, and the white silk hanging all over the Li family's door. A cool breeze blew. Everyone in the Wang family is truly terrified. A coffin. No, we were deceived. These lunatics from the Li family didn't even want to discuss business with us. They are the ones who want to kill us. Despicable and shameless, don't they care about the family's reputation? Who will dare to come to the Li family in the future? How could someone use such a despicable trick? Everyone in the Wang family was panicked. Even Wang Chaoyuan, who had always been confident of winning, turned dark. When the Li family invited him to discuss business, he had already thought about various possibilities, and had even planned to use this invitation to make a big move that could annex both the Hu and Li families. But he never expected that the Li family would be so simple and unpretentious. The Li family had no intention of breaking through the blockade imposed on them by Talon town. They simply wanted to lure them here to avenge a mere chi refining period and 3 ordinary people. You, run away, let's run away separately. Wang Chaoyuan felt that he had miscalculated. He gritted his teeth and said to everyone in the Wang family, Third elder, when you go back, gather the 4 major families and destroy the entire Li family. The third elder didn't say much and ran away in one direction. He had already seen a huge figure appear in the Li family. It was an extremely huge python. On top of the python's head, stood Li Delong holding the ancestral tablet. That guy was smiling disdainfully at him. Tisk, tisk, how brave you are. At this time, Li Shang looked playful in front of the screen. He wondered what kind of mental state the Wang family members were in at this time. At first, he asked Li Delong to invite people from the Wang family, just with the intention of giving it a try. His more plan was to ask Li Delong to kill all the Wang family members in the Black Iron Mine, one after another. But I never expected it. Are the people from Lao Wang's family so down to earth? Let them come, they really dared to come. I also plan to lure the Wang family to the Black Iron Mine and kill a few key figures until they are frightened. Li Shang shrugged helplessly. Yes, as expected, there are all kinds of idiots. He didn't think anymore and switched to the screen. At this point the battle has begun. The Wang family didn't have the courage to fight at all and fled in all directions, but they underestimated the Li family's combat power and defense. The three strongest elders of the Wang family had reached the middle stage of foundation building. The old guy used some movement skills and ran away in the direction of Yin Tilan like a phantom. With the current combat power of the Li family, no one can stop him. It is true that the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python is very strong, but its speed is a drawback. Its huge size also means that it is not as flexible as human monks. Ancestor's Wrath X5. Li Shang used the skill without hesitation. Don't even think about running away. 5 ancestral tablets appeared in front of the third elder, and they immediately started to kill the third elder. As soon as they got close to the third elder, they started to self-destruct. In the rumbling sound, what is this? Magical weapon. The third elder has lived for 150 years, but he has never seen such a strange thing. He clearly felt that there was no spiritual energy on the tablet, but it was extremely lethal. It seemed that no matter how fast he ran, the tablets had the speed to stand in front of him. Yo, he ran so fast. Li Shang grinned. The advantage of the skill is that he can use it through the screen. As long as the third elder is still on the map, he can block the road accurately just by moving the mouse. It didn't take long. Li Delong finally arrived with the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python. The strength of the spiritual beast level Purple Thunder Tianyang Python is no longer what it used to be. Hiss. As it roared, its downward curving double-horned arcs flashed, forming a lightning cage around the third elder. The unique natal skills of spirit beasts. Thunder Cage. Are you crazy? If you dare to attack our Wang family, the entire Talon town will be the enemy of your Li family, and you will be in trouble. The third elder felt the terrifying aura of the Purple Thunder Sky Sun Python. He gritted his teeth, just asking for a chance to survive. Hi, After communicating with the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python many times, Li Delong also understood some of the meaning of the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python. He looked at the third elder in the thunder cage and smiled disdainfully. My ancestors are a little curious. What were you doing when you provoked us? Just for a chi refining period, 3 ordinary people. The third elder still couldn't believe it. Ordinary people. Li Delong shook his head. His expression became gloomy. You are indeed the same as the Hu family. A few years ago they used the victims to test our Li family, but now your Wang family doesn't take the lives of ordinary people seriously. Once upon a time, your ancestors are you also an ordinary person? Since you have forgotten, then I will send you to the underworld and ask your ancestors. Well said. Li Shang in front of the screen gave a thumbs up. Seeing that Li Delong had taken control of his opponent, he immediately turned to the screen. The other side, Wang Chaoyuan, the far-sighted patriarch, was on the run. He has never been so embarrassed in his life. Boo-hoo. 2 bows and arrows were shot at him. It turned out to be an 18-year-old young girl riding a giant eagle and shooting at him with an iron bow. He was being chased by a mere 5th-level chi refiner, running around like a mouse. The most outrageous thing was the strong man riding a tiger on the ground and shooting arrows at him. Ha ha ha, head of the Wang family. You have so much courage, but you are not afraid of being laughed at. You dare to come to our Li family, and I thought you had any abilities. It seems that you are pure stupidity. Forget it being stupid, don't you even dare to face me and my sister, 2 monks at the 5th level of chi refining. Wang Chaoyuan almost wanted to vomit blood. This really almost broke his defense. But he didn't dare to stop. He knew clearly that these 2 losers dared to pursue him like this. It was not because they were seeking death, but because it was another trap set by the Li family to deal with him. You won't even look back after being scolded like this. Li Shang frowned and looked at another icon under the purple thunder sky python avatar in the game interface, a robot. Next, click, call, the war puppet is being released. In an instant, the space ring in Li Yaoking's hand flashed with light, and a huge mecha suddenly appeared in the sky. Dazzling fireworks erupted from the back and legs of the psychic mecha, pushing the war puppet into the air. Flying is always the most draining of psychic energy. Li Shang curled his lips. He kept the puppet in the space ring, otherwise it would be impossible for Li Yaoking and Li Yaoti to pursue the masters in the early stage of foundation building. The war puppet consumes spiritual energy, especially flying consumes the most. Although it can automatically replenish spiritual energy, it will take at least half a month to completely restore all spiritual energy. Originally, I wanted to save spiritual energy, but who would have thought about Wang Chaoyuan? It seems that he has learned wisely. What's this? The moment the war puppet appeared, Wang Chaoyuan also felt the terrifying pressure behind him. When he turned his head, he was startled by the huge body of the war puppet. Then, boom, as the fireworks on the war puppet mecha exploded, it rushed towards Wang Chaoyuan like a rocket. While flying, the guns on its back were moving, and two huge barrels were aimed at Wang Chaoyuan. Although it is a free movement mode, but the war puppet still has simple combat capabilities. Stab it. As the gun barrel shone with a dazzling light, a purple long sword appeared out of thin air in the right hand of the war puppet. It was a lightsaber formed by laser, cutting iron like clay. Boom. Not good. The laser cannon was fired in an instant. Wang Chaoyuan was stunned. He took out a bronze bell, which was a magical weapon that had been with him for many years. The bronze bell rang and instantly enveloped him. But the next moment, boom, the moment the laser cannon collided with the copper bell, the sound made by the copper bell was like ringing the death knell for Wang Chaoyuan. This magical weapon that saved Wang Chaoyuan's life many times was as thin as paper. Smoke and dust rose. The next moment, the war puppet flashed across the sky with a lightsaber in hand, and in no time at all. The two parts of Wang Chaoyuan's body that were split at the waist fell toward the ground from the smoke. His eyes were desperate, and he seemed to be a little worried, as if he really couldn't figure out why he came to Li's house so obsessed with it in the first place. Is this the great power of our ancestors? Siblings Li Yaoking and Li Yaolong looked at the figure that looked like a god of war in midair with shock on their faces. Instant kill. Run away, madman, they are all madmen. A real-life battle royale is taking place on the Li family's territory. The remaining 11 members of the royal family were running frantically in all directions. But now the Li family is already quite a force. As the Li family gradually grew, they already owned nearly 70 ordinary monsters of various types, including 2 spiritual beasts. And Xian village has a population of thousands. There are already 100 strong men who are hunting with the Li family. They have been practicing hard and want to become the bodyguards of the Li family. There are even 6 chi practitioners among them. Kill him, Mr. Li said. Whoever kills a member of the Wang family can become the bodyguard of the Li family and receive a reward from the Li family. Is there such a good thing? No one can steal it from me. Come on, brothers. At this time, 20 strong men forced a monk from the Wang family into a corner and fired continuously with 20 bows. Shoo shoo shoo. After a long time, these 20 strong men found the monk's body from a pile of bows and arrows, and began to argue about who had completed the final blow. It wasn't until Li Yaoti came back that he killed the last monk with a hammer, slamming him into the wall and unable to dig him out. Li Shangkai took a sip of water in front of the screen. Congratulations, the Li family led its forces to kill the invading enemy. Get incense plus 200. Is this also an invading enemy? Li Shang felt deeply relieved after receiving a large amount of incense. In the event column, one of the items caught Li Zhang's eyes. Your descendant Li Yaozu fought fiercely with a monk at the 6th level of Qi refining, and delivered a fatal blow at the cost of minor injuries. During the killing, he learned a lot about swordsmanship. Basic sword skills are increased to 50% progress, and sword skills and sword light are obtained. Sword light. Use light and spiritual energy in battle to blind the enemy's eyes and kill him with one blow. Quote. What a despicable realization this is. Complaints are complaints. Li Shang also admires Li Yaozu a little. This guy has learned the basic swordsmanship step by step. Now that he can reach 50%, he has a good understanding. Like others, the highest level of basic swordsmanship proficiency is only 20%. Immediately afterwards, Li Shang watched the Li family clean up the battlefield and pick up the loot. Get the trophy, magic weapon, mystic pendant. Obtain trophies, magic and martial arts, autumn wind step. Obtain trophies. Another explosion of equipment. No wonder others say that war is the fastest way to gain wealth. Li Shang checked it out and found that there was nothing he wanted in these things, but they were quite useful to the Li family. I thought I would encounter something as good as the mysterious spear again, but it seems that the chance is not high. He suddenly remembered the mysterious spear from before. He touched the space ring on his index finger. There was a blue light inside, and the spear covered with mysterious runes on the gun body was particularly conspicuous. Old ancestor, everyone in the Wang family has been executed during this trip, and has been taken away by Yao Qing to nourish the beast blood fruit tree. Li Delong came to the ancestral hall to report as always. Li Shang accelerated the game time and allowed the Li family to continue to develop. He also began to think. The final decision was to postpone the development of black iron ore. After all, they currently do not have the strength to defend the black iron ore. Continuing to covet the black iron ore will only increase casualties. It is more important to rely on this harvest to slowly develop. As for whether Talon Town will attack the Li family on a large scale, Li Shang is not afraid at all, just like he doesn't dare to let the Purple Thunder Sun Python and the War Puppet go to Talon Town. The four major families in Talon Town don't know the exact strength of the Li family, and they don't dare to come to Li Shang home. After all the monks who came to Li's house died. Their family has a big business and it is impossible for them to dare to make a desperate move. No one knows what kind of trump card the other party has hidden. The fact is that as time went by, until the 26th year of the Li family, Talon Town did not dare to invade the Li family, but there were always people testing the Li family. In the 26th year of the Li family, a plague broke out in Xian village. Li Yaoqing learned that it was the Wang family in Talon Town who took revenge. After Li Yaoqing used medical treatment, the plague was resolved. Congratulations, Li Yaoqing saved the villagers, solved the plague, and received plus 200 incense. Li Yaoqing obtains the special trait, rejuvenation with wonderful skills. Brilliant rejuvenation. When treating patients, the success rate increases by 20%. A murderer appeared in Xian village. 9-year-old Li Yaoan held a book in his hand and went straight to the scene of the crime. After searching for clues, he discovered the murderer sent by the Talon Hu family to disturb people's hearts. Get incense plus 30. Li Yaoan obtained the qualification, Miao Duan. Beautiful conclusion. Your mind will be calmer. There are still many troubles coming from Talon Town, but the final result is to gain more experience for the Li family. The children and grandchildren have been able to take care of most of the trouble themselves. Li Shang was satisfied. However, when watching the development of everyone in the Li family, he still paid more attention to Li Yaoan. This sick young man of the Li family still hasn't developed any spiritual energy. Xiao Wen, your health is not good. Take good care of yourself. There is no need to worry about things at home. Under this beast blood fruit tree, another beast blood fruit tree has grown, and under the cultivation of Li Yaoqing, it has reached the height of a person. Li Yaoqing, who was planting the elixir, smiled when he saw his sister coming. Sister, there is a beast blood fruit hidden here. Good sister, after you eat it and break through the qi refining period, your health will be better. The young Li Yaoan shook his head stubbornly. No, sister, I am cultivating the way of heaven and earth to establish people, and I am also reading the books of saints, and my body is like a temple. I have heard that contemporary literary saints only eat grains and grains. Once you realize it, you will naturally make a breakthrough. How many literary cultivators are there in the world? Li Yaoqing touched his sister's head. Sister, our family has resources, it's better for you to take a simpler path. Li Yaoan still shook his head, as if he was determined not to hit the wall. Are you going to study for essays? Seeing the small letters of communication appearing on the heads of the two sisters, Li Shang realized why Li Yaoan had never become a monk. It turns out that this little girl simply didn't practice, nor did she take any pills or resources. Even he knows that when Shu. However, In my memory, there are only a handful of known literary practitioners in China's thousand-year history of spiritual energy recovery, and none of them has achieved anything. As for the existence of Sage Kong before the spiritual energy was revived, it is unknown whether he was the real Li Shang. But judging from the conversation between the two sisters, there are literary saints in the game world. Moreover, Li Yaoan seems to have aimed at liberal arts because he has loved reading since he was a child. I hope she can make it. Li Shang shrugged. After all, everyone has different ideas and he should respect other people's choices. Time passes again. In the 27th year of the Li family, Li Delong took a large amount of beast blood fruit and a spiritual grass from Yin Tilan. After taking it, he broke through the 9th level of qi refining. Li Yaozu and the Li family guards attacked the Talon Wang family members who were collecting black iron ore, and obtained a large amount of black iron ore. Ha ha ha, you still want to mine under my nose. Bring it to you. Looking at the information in the game, Li Shang couldn't help but laugh out loud. Although he gave up collecting black iron ore, it doesn't mean he doesn't want the veins anymore. He had already ordered Li Delong to keep an eye on the mines and ask people from Talon Town to help with the work. As expected, the people of the Talon Wang family still developed the mineral veins. Although they would send experts to guard the mines, there were always times when they were negligent. He was watching with joy as Li Yaozu led his subordinates to transport the ore to the station one by one. The cell phone rings. Li Shang quickly picked up the phone and answered the call. Master Xiao Li, good news, you have found a buyer for your blood fruit, 3,000 spirit stones. Boss Chi's voice sounded. By the way, if you are satisfied with my efficiency and the price I sell, there will be bigger business in the future. Then I suggest you find a way to clean up the future income. Otherwise, you know that as a student, you will always arouse others' suspicion if you earn so much money. Out of 3,000 spiritual stones, he only gave Boss Chi 20 fruits. Li never expected that he could sell them at such a price. This is just a fruit with 100 points of spiritual energy. Normally, a pill that can provide this much spiritual energy can only be sold for about 20 spiritual stones at most. If you calculate that you can get 100 beast blood fruits in a day. Li Zhang's heart skipped a beat when he thought of the huge amount. But he was still somewhat calm on the surface, and his voice was calm. I'm very satisfied with this transaction. As for the spiritual stones, it's easy to say, but I don't know if Boss Chi can get some contraband. Huh, contraband. Boss Chi was startled for a moment, and finally said solemnly, Master Li, you know, if you want the Star Destroyer cannon, you really have to give me some time, otherwise you will have bad luck when you come back. Quote. I want a Star Destroyer cannon. Do you think I'm going to engage in an interstellar war? Li Shang hung up the phone directly, sent a text message to Boss Chi, and then walked out of the room. After playing games all day, it was time to eat. Looking at the furnishings at home, he couldn't tell whether it was the game world or reality for a moment. Well, I was too addicted to playing. Li Shang shrugged. Just as he was getting the cake from the refrigerator, Li Shang saw Yuexian looking out through the peephole at the door. He couldn't help but frown and asked, Yuexian, what's going on? Yuexian turned around and waved his hand. Master, have you caused any trouble? Li Shang felt something was wrong. Grandma Ling next door has been out a few times, staring at our house. Hearing this, Li Zhang's mouth twitched. Let her stare. Yes, when I was a kid, my classmates didn't squat in front of the school when I was studying. It's fine now. The old lady who has lived for who knows how many years is squatting by herself at the door. She is probably angry about what happened before. If she is caught by Grandma Ling, then she won't be able to grow 2 bags, right? Without thinking any more, Li wanted to go back to the room. Anyway, if anything happened, just call the doorman, Uncle Chen. I just sat down and had a bite of cake. Li Shang stared. On the game screen, a ding 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 sound came out. Sparks are flying. Li Yaoti is forging. After your descendant Li Yaoti obtained the black iron ore, he continued to temper the black iron. He gained some enlightenment while hammering the black iron. He used black iron and other materials to create the first iron sword, and used the blood of monsters to activate the iron. The potential of the sword, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth enters the sword. Li Yaoti created the first magic weapon and obtained the profession, 9th grade weapon refiner. Acquired trait, hit with iron. Li Yaoti, 2nd generation. Occupation, 9th grade weapon refiner. Realm, 5th level of Qi refining. Spiritual roots, 5 series miscellaneous spiritual roots. Exercise skills, Qi absorption technique, powerful hammer technique. Characteristics, strong bones, iron in the hit. Iron hits, when forging metal weapons, the speed is plus 100%, and the proficiency in using weapons is plus 100%. Third young master, have you refined a magic weapon? In the blacksmith shop of Xian village, facing the heat from the stove, the 4 old blacksmiths in the village cheered and congratulated Li Yaoti. What the hell kind of magic weapon is this? If Li Yaoqing became a pharmacist before, he practiced according to his own ideas, then Li Yaoti relied entirely on luck. He even threw the newly forged iron sword aside with some disdain. You have never seen a truly powerful treasure. I've seen it before. That kind of thing is made of metal all over. It can be as tall as several houses. Not to mention Qi refiners, even foundation building masters can't break the iron on it. It can emit blue light and let it fly into the sky. His body is full of weapons, his shoulders can emit true energy, and he can even create divine swords out of thin air. While telling the blacksmiths, Li Yaoti's eyes were full of envy. He thought about the war puppet used by his ancestor that day. Such a majestic figure killed the 3 elders of the Wang family with one sword. That was also the day. Only then did he realize that that was the romance of a real man. My goal is not to refine this kind of magic weapon. The most they can do is increase my experience in refining the weapon. Only that kind of powerful puppet is my real goal. Clang. As the weight fell, sparks flew. Li Yaoti held a piece of steel plate with tweezers and slowly moved towards him. Behind him, there was a puppet model made of wood. Li Yaoti slowly placed the steel plate made of black iron on the wooden man's shoulders and tied it with chains. Do you dream of refining war puppets? Looking at the conversation between Li Yaoti and the craftsman in the game, Li Shang didn't know what to say. He could only hope that Li Yaoti would succeed one day. And Li Shang also understood. The characters in this game all have their own thoughts and have chosen their own path as they grow. Among the 4 children of the 2nd generation of the Li family, Li Yaozu is more likely Delong, a good successor to the head of the family. The lonely Li Yaoqing chose to become a pharmacist and went further and further on the road of cultivating spiritual plants. Now he has become the famous miracle doctor in Xian village. This girl, Li Yaoan, dragged her sick body down a very difficult road. As she grew older, her wisdom also improved little by little. Just like the last time she investigated the case, she could easily find the key to the problem, location. Li Yaoti, on the other hand, opened a weapon-making shop in Xian village and led 4 blacksmith masters to make the entire force's iron tools. The 28th year of the Li family. Li Delong took the villagers of Xian village and the children of the Li family to Yintilan. When they reached the central area of Yintilan, they heard a beast roar inside. The terrifying existence deep in the silver iron forest issued a warning to the purple thunder Tianyang python. If it goes deeper, it would not mind killing all the humans protected by the purple thunder Tianyang python. We can't go any deeper, the temple guardian beast said. The demon king inside is already angry. As Shu Kui was solemnly translated for the purple thunder Tianyang python, everyone had to stop their in-depth exploration of the silver iron forest. The demon king's strength is no different from that of a human at the golden elixir stage. Is it already inaccessible? Li Shang let out a long breath. The purple thunder Tianyang python had told the Li family about Yintilan's situation before. It seems that the demon king of Yintilan gave the purple thunder Tianyang python face, so he never took action against the Li family. Now, the Li family's too deep and frequent exploration has threatened the demon king's living environment. But that's about it. Let's slowly explore the outside from now on. Li didn't mind even thinking about it. The development over the years has once again improved the overall strength of the Li family. Now the population of Xian village has reached 3,000. You know, even Tailin town has a population of only 40,000, and it is still the number of people before the famine. It is estimated that only half of them are left now. Let's take a look at the current Li family residence. The entire Lee family covers an area of 10,000 square meters, with pavilions, eaves and green tiles, which are exquisite and elegant yet majestic. The ground is made of blue bricks, and green trees and flowers can be seen all around. Even the 4-meter-high walls are carved with dragons and phoenixes. Further out, it adjoins the spiritual beast garden where monsters are raised, which has now become the back mountain of the Lee family. Looking into the distance, you can see the dense branches and leaves of the beast blood fruit trees, standing like giants all around. Occasionally, spiritual beasts may jump on the branches and birds may chirp. Farther away from the spiritual beast garden is the spiritual medicine garden, as well as some simple houses. The elixir garden used to be in the spirit beast garden, but as another beast blood fruit tree grew up, there was no place for the elixir to survive, so Li Yaoqing moved to the elixir garden. There were more than a dozen boys and girls living in those houses, all of whom were recruited from Xian village to help grow medicinal materials. This would give Li Yaoqing more time to cultivate elixirs, and also see if he could train some pharmacists for Xian village. And before the entire Li family, there was Xian village. They were distributed in all directions of the Li family, as if they were protecting the entire Li family. The houses in Xian village are neatly arranged, the streets have been paved with bricks and tiles, and a unique trading system has even been formed, with vendors shouting on the streets. But most of them are farmers carrying water baskets and heading towards the farmland outside the village. Almost every household is planting fields. After experiencing the suffering of the drought years, the villagers of Xian village understand the importance of food. Drink. In the center of Xian village, a group of teenagers can be seen practicing martial arts, and there are even more young people practicing bows and arrows. The instructor training the young people shouted, "When we were in Talon town, those aristocratic families always hid the method of cultivation, but now in Xian village, Mr. Li has been a great kindness and taught you the method of absorbing qi. The opportunity is right in front of you now. As long as you practice hard and strive to be able to lift a 300-kilogram stone, draw a 3-stone bow, and shoot a 30-foot target within this year, you will have the opportunity to join the young master's escort team. From now on, you can get elixirs and even holy fruits from the second lady." As soon as these words came out, these teenagers worked harder and harder. At this time, there was a high tower in the Li family. For example, Li Yaozu, who is 23 this year, is looking at the young people practicing in the distance with satisfaction. "This year I will have 30 more guards." "Brother, no more." Next to Li Yaozu, a maid was pushing a wheelchair, and sitting on it was a beautiful woman. She was holding a book in her hand, looking at the words in the book, and said, "Now the family guard needs wages every season. Everyone has 10 copies of the body training powder, developed by the second sister, plus tax exemptions. The rest is all supported by favors here. You have a guard of 150 people, which is enough to maintain order in Xian village. If you continue to expand, it will only cause our resources to be insufficient. Besides, there are 50 maids at home who also need our salary." Li Yaozu scratched his head irritably. "Ah, I got it. Then tell me, what should we do now? Yin Tilan can't go in either. My father went into seclusion to break through the foundation building period. Only then did I realize how difficult it is to manage a family. I have been running the family for half a year, but apart from training soldiers, I have not done anything useful. Brother, do you want to make some achievements? Maybe we should ask our ancestors." Li Yaoan showed a beautiful smile. At this time, Li Shang is still watching the development of the Li family. He is now full of pride. The entire Li family has begun to take shape. Even though Silver Tilan cannot continue to be developed, it is still developing in an orderly manner. There are already more than a dozen monks in the Li family's guard. Especially this guy Li Yaoti, although he has always wanted to refine war puppets, he has never delayed in making weapons for the Li family. He led the blacksmiths in Xian village to build equipment day and night, and even the tailors were busy working. Now the guards of the Li family are basically wearing chain armor made of black iron. Under the sunlight, the guards wearing black iron chain armor are very powerful. They also hold long knives made of black iron in their hands, and each of them carries a 3-stone bow made of black iron and animal sinew. More than 100 guards fired their 3-stone bows at once, and even in the foundation building stage, they had to consider whether they could block all these bows and arrows. I am looking forward to the development of my family. A box appeared in front of the screen. Your descendants have something to ask you for advice. The game Family Cultivation Simulator is becoming more and more user-friendly. Every time the Lee family comes to look for him in the ancestral hall, time will automatically delay and the game will also provide reminders. He quickly switched perspectives. Yaozu and Yaoan. Now, Li Delong has reached the 9th level of Qi refining and has begun to retreat into the dead body, vowing not to leave until the foundation is broken. Li Yaoqing and Li Yaoti were purely model workers. They spent almost all their time refining medicine and weapons. They would only show up at the Li family unless there was something that couldn't be solved. As for Shu Kuiwa, this woman is currently controlling a spirit beast in the spirit beast garden. Hi, the purple thunder Tianyang python that was sleeping in the ancestral hall opened its eyes and neighed. The brother and sister quickly knelt down to the memorial tablet and said, "Greetings to our ancestors." Li Yaoan said, "Let me tell my ancestors that I have a bold idea and want to ask my ancestors for instructions." "Oh, do you have any ideas?" Li Shang raised his eyebrows. He has been instructing the Li family on what to do for so long, but this is the first time someone has proposed an idea to him. He typed it into the computer and said. As the temple protecting beasts neighed, Li Yaoan said, "Since we can't continue to develop Silver Iron Forest, maybe we should change the direction and do business with Talon Town. After all, over the years, we have hoarded a lot of animal skins and picked many useless elixirs in Silver Iron Forest, all piled up in the warehouse." Li Yaozu's eyes widened and he looked at his sister in disbelief. "Sister, I've already been deceived once. It's impossible for Talon Town to be deceived again, right?" Doing business with Talon Town. Li Shang showed great interest. He had been observing the development of the Li family. Li Yaoan had loved reading since he was a child. Now it seems that this girl is really not simple. Immediately, he entered text into the game and asked Li Yaoan to continue. After receiving the approval, Li Yaoan ignored his astonished brother and opened his thin lips. "Ancestor, I know that we have a blood feud with the Talon Hu and Wang families, but it is not impossible for us to trade with the other two families. Human nature is selfish and greedy. It is said that the 4 major families in Talon Town work together, but they are not one family after all. I checked and found that due to years of drought, their families are all in trouble, and many industries are unsustainable, especially because of fear of our Li family kills innocent people indiscriminately, and they don't even dare to hunt in Silver Talon. Besides, our feud with the Hu and Wang families has never had anything to do with them. Our trading conditions stand." Listening to Li Yaoan's words, Li Shang drank his drink fiercely, entered the command to the purple thunder Tianyang python again, and motioned for Li Yaoan to continue. Li Yaoan took a deep breath. Finding ways to do deals with them and letting them see we're serious is just the beginning. What will Hu and Wang think next? The relationship between them will have an irreparable rift, and the Su and Chen families will gradually understand that our Li family can actually replace the Hu and Wang families. The alliance in Talon Town will collapse if we don't attack, and we can take revenge. Snapped. Li Shang slapped his thigh. Li Yaoan had read all these years in vain. Although he had no fighting power, Li Yaoan's wisdom was comparable to the fighting power of a foundation building period. But what Li Yaoan said next made Li Shang twitch. This is all a conspiracy. Next, when there is conflict in Talon Town, we can completely withdraw from the scene. It would be best if we send people to kill their heirs secretly and frame them for the blame. Without future generations, they will be completely desperate. In this way, they will fight to the death, and we will dominate Talon Town without spending a single soldier. Without the existence of monks, chaos and death will come to Talon Town. 40,000 civilians will gradually die in this year of drought. The evil spirits will also occupy the entire city. We will get a large number of corpses to use make offerings to the beast blood fruit tree. ? Li Zhang's face turned dark. Sometimes he felt that he was a little wicked, but now he was relieved when he looked at the words above Li Yaoan's head. It's not just Li Shang. Even Li Yaozu looked at his sister in disbelief. He even took a step aside and swallowed hard. Next, Li Shang and Li Yaoan talked in detail for a while, and then continued to check the development of the family. Strategies are strategies, but everything depends on actual operations. No matter what the conspiracy is, it is all based on strong strength. The 29th year of the Li family. The family is still developing. Although the Li family has established a village, it has already formed the conditions for self-sufficiency. At this time, Li Yaozu was still controlling the family's operations. The 150 guards under him have formed an organized team. They wear thick black iron mail and are equipped with 15 iron arrows each. It can be said that any one of them has the strength to fight against a first-level qi refining monk. According to Li Zhang's estimation, if a volley of 150 people were encountered by a peak-level foundation building monk without special defense techniques, they would only be shot like hedgehogs. Although I have been taking care of the family business. But Li Yaozu did not stop practicing. Li Yaozu, 2nd generation. Realm, 8th level of qi refining. Skills and martial arts. Naki technique, autumn wind step, basic sword skills, sword light. Trait, killing potential. Equipment, breath sword, mystic pendant, black iron beast blood set. This autumn wind step was naturally a technique that was revealed during the battle with the Wang family elders. When used, it is as fast as the autumn wind, but it kills every step. There are many similar exercises, and the Li family now even has 6 or 7 exercise books. Most of the equipment of the Li family was obtained from the Hu and Wang families. The pendant of mystery has the power to protect the mind and inspire spiritual power to make the opponent fall into confusion for a moment. As for this black iron beast blood suit, after Li Yaoti became a weapon refiner, his method of making magic weapons was very rough and full of randomness. The reason why it is full of randomness is that this kid directly mixed the heart blood of various monsters into a big pot and sealed it with magic power. He called the blood in the cauldron the blood altar. Then whenever he needed to refine a weapon, he would place the materials in the blood altar, and after 7 or 49 days of soaking, immediately afterwards, he began to use his hammering technique to create a magical weapon. Even Li Yaoti himself didn't know what kind of abilities the created magical weapon had. And all the magic weapons are of the lowest quality. The black iron beast blood set is Li Yaoti's masterpiece, and every member of the Li family has one. The dark red color can be seen when Li Yaozu wears this set, which combines robes, inner armor, gloves, belts, pants, and boots. Its function is a chameleon-like fusion with the environment, and when stimulated with spiritual power, it can summon 2 bloody tigers to attack the enemy. Next are Li Yaoti and Li Yaoking. Their strength has reached the 6th level of qi refining. Li Yao Tikong has good qualifications, but he is addicted to blacksmithing. But don't underestimate Li Yaoti's strength. If there is anyone in the Li family who is physically the strongest, it is undoubtedly Li Yaoti. He works hard all day long, and he is also beating his physical body. He has 2 sledgehammers. The small hammer is used for daily forging equipment. It is made of pure black iron and weighs 50 kilograms. He wields the small hammer with one hand and controls it like an arm. Sledgehammer. The handle of the hammer is as tall as one person, and the hammer is thicker than Li Yaoti's heavy-backed body. Li wants to believe that if he dares to take Li Yaoti's hammer forcefully during the foundation building stage, then he should go directly to see his wife. Of course, it is impossible to use this thing in combat. Li Yaoti made this thing to make iron. With a maximum of 3 swings, Li Yaoti would be completely out of power. Although Li Yaoking is a pharmacist, she does more than just treat illnesses and save people. The Qiansao Jing records the method of refining medicine, and quenching poison is also the essence of the book. There was a foreign invasion. When I entered the elixir garden, I saw Li Yaoking, a weak woman, and it was time for a sneak attack. Li Shang also discovered it at that time, but he had not yet used the ancestor's wrath to rescue him. The killer at the 8th level of qi refining had already fallen into Li Yaoking's trap. She had raised a swarm of purple bees, and when she was bitten, she would gradually lose her strength until all the spiritual power in her body was exhausted, making her miserable. As for Li Delong, that guy is still in the secret room of the Li family and has not broken through for 2 years. He has been accumulating spiritual power and trying to break open all the air pockets in his body. Of course, refining qi to break through and build a foundation is not as simple as it sounds. Every major breakthrough is equivalent to unlocking the genetic lock of the human body and forming a complete transformation. Before refining the qi, the lifespan was like that of a mortal. By building the foundation, one can cleanse the marrow and change the tendons. The lifespan can be over 200 years, and the spiritual roots will also be sublimated to a certain extent. A perfect foundation building is tantamount to changing one's destiny against the will of heaven. Shu Kuiwa used the skill of controlling beasts to contract with the natal spiritual beast, Tianyu Fox. Get a professional beast master. Acquired trait, Fox Controller. Get incense plus 100. Good news suddenly came from the game screen. In the spirit beast garden, Shu Kuiwa was surrounded by monsters. On the woman sitting cross-legged, a white fox shadow appeared. I didn't expect that, Shu Kuiwa, you are a cruel person and you hide it deeply. Li Zhang's eyes brightened, he just felt that Li Delong was changing his fate against the will of heaven. Unexpectedly, Li Delong's wife has completely changed her destiny. Shu Kuiwa, Li Delong's wife. Occupation, Beast Master. Realm, 5th level of Qi Refining. Skills, Breathing Qi, Controlling Beasts. Trait, Fox Controller. Fox Controller. The contracted spirit level monster, Tianyu Fox, is the natal spirit beast. The Dantian is forged with Tianyu Fox and shares the lifespan and mana of Tianyu Fox. Beast Master is a very special profession. In Li Zhang's memory, in the 1,000-year history of spiritual energy recovery in China, Beast Masters were very powerful, and they could always obtain various powers from spiritual beasts. And now, by contracting with the spirit-level monster, Shu Kuiwa is equivalent to possessing the strength of the foundation building stage. According to Tianyu Fox's combat power, Shu Kuiwa has even reached the middle stage foundation building stage and has become the strongest among the members of the Li family. Even. She has exceeded the lifespan of 200 years. Monsters have a very long lifespan. The sky moon fox is blessed by the bright moon and can live for 1,000 years. Tisk, tisk. Li Shang was amazed and delighted that the daughter-in-law of the Li family had grown up. But compared to Shu Kuiwa, Li Yaozu's daughter-in-law Ku Xiaoxiao is really mediocre. Ku Xiaoxiao's father, Ku Changming, is a monk, but Ku Xiaoxiao is immortal. Even with the resources of the Li family, he is only at the level of Qi Refining, spoiled and lazy. Over the years since she was married to Li Yaozu, she has gained weight, but now she is pregnant again. But Li Yunlin, the 3rd-generation member she gave birth to, is pretty good. 8-year-old Li Yunlin has become a 2nd-level Qi refiner. The 3-line spiritual route allows him to practice faster. In addition, the Li family is not as poor as before. He has many resources to support him and has the experience of previous people's practice. Fortunately, this boy has been exposed to the Li family since he was a child and has not contracted his mother's bad habits. Although he is not as hardworking as other members of the Li family, he is still quite satisfactory. The next big festival is about to begin. Li Shang looked at the screen with a lot of emotion. He probably only played for more than a day. But nearly 30 years have passed since the head of the game world, and he almost watched the children of the Li family grow up. I just wanted to stretch my muscles and prepare for this gift. Li Yaoan appeared in the ancestral hall on the screen. Ancestor, it took a year for Yaoan to finally gain the trust of the Su and Chen families. Have you been trusted? Li Shang narrowed his eyes. Sometimes layout also takes a lot of time. However, playing this game, Li wanted to pay more attention to the development of the Li family. With time accelerating, he didn't know what Li Yaoan had done, so he had to ask the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python to ask. Hi, as the temple protecting beast issued a question. Li Yaoan understood immediately, and she said respectfully, Ancestor, there are our people in Talon Town, and I have always asked them to watch the actions of the 4 major families. Finally, 3 months ago, the maid I sent to the Chen family came with the news, the handsome young master of the Chen family secretly went to a brothel to have fun. So I asked my second sister to prepare a drug that would induce lust. And that night, Hu Wei from the Hu family who had sent people to seriously injure my father was also there. He was very drunk. I sent him to the room of the lustful young master of the Chen family. Question mark. Bang! Li Shang was stunned and slid down from the chair, bursting, very explosive. What happened that night? The picture was so beautiful that he didn't dare to think about it. Hu Wei woke up the next day and went all over the world to find Chen Gandong of the Chen family, threatening to fight Chen Gandong until death. Later, Chen Gandong escaped from Tailin town. Under my arrangement, he encountered danger and came to our Xian village. The fourth brother of the head of the Chen family has been secretly communicating with me to protect Chen Gandong's life. Li Shang was filled with emotions. He deeply admired Li Yaoan's step-by-step approach, at least he couldn't think of such a unique idea. When Li Yaoan recounted all this, his face did not turn red and his heart did not beat. The girl seemed to feel that as long as the goal was achieved, the process was no longer important. She was even a little dissatisfied with the current results. Ancestor, Yaoan still made a mistake. I thought Hu Wei would wake up early and kill Chen Gandong, and then we would take the initiative to contact his father, but I didn't expect that Chen Gandong is still alive. Li Shang was speechless, he typed silently. The world is impermanent, just wait and see how it changes. As the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python responded, Li Yaoan's eyes brightened. Yaoan understands, the ancestor means that we can strike hard again. While the Chen family was sending people to trade, people took Chen Gandong to see Chen family. At the same time, we secretly let people inform the Hu family of the news. Hu Wei will definitely retaliate and will not let Chen Gandong go. Then, things will get even bigger. This is the fickleness of the world, and the conspiracy within the conspiracy. Even if the Chen family knows that we did it, they have already seen the blood. Like them, we have become the enemies of the Hu family. The enemy of the enemy is a friend. Li Shang took a breath. This second-generation descendant of his is definitely the most ruthless person he has ever seen in his life. Go do it. Li Shang had nothing to say. Li Yaoan had obviously laid out everything, and his interference would only be counterproductive. His purpose is also simple. That is to break through Tailin Town's blockade on the Li family and conduct transactions. If the two enemies of the Li family can be completely eliminated and the entire Tailin Town can be annexed, the Li family's progress will be even more rapid. Soon, when Li wanted to check the map, he discovered that outside Xian village, Li Yaozu was escaping back to Xian village with 2 spiritual beasts and a group of scarred people. Today, the Li family has 5 spiritual beasts, excluding the one contracted by Shu Kuiwa. There are 4 more. These are the products of Yin Tilin. With the help of the Purple Thunder Tianyang Python, and Shu Kuiwa's accumulation of domestication over time, they have no choice but to surrender. 100-eyed demonic spider, Gale-winged tiger, Chaoyang beast, and 8-leaf flower demon. At this time, Li Yaozu was carrying the latter 2. Chaoyangmon is a kind of bird monster. It looks like a crane, but it has red feathers. When it flies, the monster energy can turn into fire. It is an extremely powerful monster. Normally, he would help Li Yaoti refine weapons. The 8-leaf flower demon is a flower demon beast that acquires spiritual wisdom over time and develops into a beast shape. It can walk on rhizomes and take root when it lands on the ground. It hurts people with its flying leaves and confuses people's minds. At the same time, this is also the weakest spiritual beast Shu Kuiwa has ever seen. As long as you are not confused or hurt by its 8 leaves, you can burn it even during the qi refining period. At this time, outside a room, there was pink dust flying in the flower stamens of the 8-leaf flower demon. Unknowingly, the injured people in the room who were being treated by Li Yaoqing had expressions of grief and anger on their faces. Hu Wei of the Hu family killed my people. This is an irreconcilable hatred. If the eldest young master of the Li family hadn't rescued him in time, I'm afraid we would also have died. I didn't expect that guy Hu Wei to be so heartless and crazy. Looking at the words on the heads of the animated characters in the room, Li Shang raised his eyebrows slightly. He knew that Li Yaoan's plan had succeeded, and the effect was even better than expected. Under Li Zhang's interested gaze, a maid outside the house pushed the frail Li Yaoan into the room. Who is this? 4 people from the Chen family were rescued during this trip. The leader was middle-aged. As far as Li Shang knew, he was the 3rd brother of the head of the Chen family. He was at the 9th level of qi refining and was named Chen Chuang. As for Chen Gandong, that kid was killed along with his father by a trap laid by Hu Wei on the road. Li Yaozu and everyone in the Chen family had already met on the road. When he saw people asking, he smiled and said, "Friends of the Chen family, this is my sister-in-law Li Yaoan." After introducing each other to everyone, Li Yaoan frowned and said in a serious voice, "Uncle Chen Chuang, I would like to ask, does your Chen family have any grudge against the Hu family? There has been a grudge for a long time. Why did Yaoan's niece say this? Chen Chuang thought for a while and said, there are a lot of grievances. To be honest, you may have heard that our 4 major Talon families share the same hatred, but that is only in the eyes of outsiders. 20 years ago, I, Chen Chuang, the family and the Hu family fought over a stone mine, and both families suffered many casualties. By the way, Hu Wei's uncle also died in that accident. As expected, Li Yaoan let out a long sigh. Seeing Li Yaoan like this, Chen Chuang was even more puzzled. Why is my niece sighing? Li Yaoan said, to be honest, Brother Chen said when he fled to my Li's house that he was so dizzy when he went to have fun that night that he didn't know what happened. The next day, Hu Wei was going to yell at him and kill him. Hu Wei is still reasonable. But Hu Wei searched the whole city for Brother Chen, but Brother Chen was able to escape from Tianlin town. Do you think it's a coincidence? Chen Chuang's expression changed. What do you want to say? I want to say that all this is probably the fault of the Hu family. Li Yaoan looked a little lucky. Game. Chen Chuang seemed to have thought of something. Yes, a game. Li Yaoan talked eloquently. Over the years, our Li family and the Hu family have had a blood feud. Uncle Chen knows it, but you and the Hu family also have a bad relationship, so the Hu family is secretly planning to kill us all. They deliberately created a conflict between Hu Wei and Brother Chen, and deliberately let Brother Chen go, just for today. Uncle Chen, think about it seriously. If all of you in the Chen family died on the way to our Li family to pick up Brother Chen, what would you in the Chen family think? This time Chen Chuang finally turned pale. We in the Chen family will think that it was you, the Li family, who did it. After all, you deceived people from the Wang family into being killed by the Li family. Yes, Li Yaoan said fearfully. In this way, the Hu family can not only kill your Chen family, but also make your Chen family enmity with us. Then the Hu family can incite you to become our enemies. As he said that, Li Yaoan gave a bitter smile. In that case, if we are enemies of the 3 major Talon families at the same time, our Li family will probably be in catastrophe. What a cruel method. Chen Chuang gritted his teeth. Even though one leg was broken, he still got up with difficulty. I will go back now and tell our ancestors the news and make the Hu family pay the price. But Li Yaoan shook his head. Uncle Chen, wait a minute, do you think it's possible for them to let you go back alive if Hu Wei attacks you? I'm afraid that the road to Talon town is already full of people from the Hu family. Trap. This. Chen Chuang finally calmed down. Li Yaoan continued. Uncle Chen has recovered well in my Li family. We will continue to talk about the business these days. As for the matter of making the Hu family pay the price, it is better to think about it in the long term. After all, the family dispute is related to life and death. You should seriously consider it. Is it worth it to put your Chen and Hu families in a life and death situation? Why? Chen Chuang let out a long sigh. These days, both the Hu and Wang families are saying that your Li family is cruel and terrible. It has to be you. Looking at the pictures in the game, Li Shang was actually a little impressed. At such an age, Li Yaoan is already as intelligent as a demon. She captured almost all the details, and gradually pulled the Hu family and Chen family into the abyss of complete hostility, and even made the Li family's current image in front of Chen Chuang look like a philanthropic family. After Li Yaoan was pushed out of the room, Li Shang gave Li Yaoan a love from the ancestors on the spot. Thank you, ancestor, for the reward. Li Yaoan smiled with a smile on his face, happy for the reward from his ancestor. She didn't know how many times she had received such a reward. She was frail and sick, and could easily catch colds and fevers, and she would get sick every time. It was the ancestors who showed their kindness and eliminated her illness. Otherwise, Li Yaoan is not sure whether he can live to his current age. This is also the reason why Li Yaoan dares to drag her body that is prone to illness to cultivate the art of literary cultivation. She believes that her ancestors will protect everyone in the family. The ancestors have spirits in heaven and care about her more than their parents. Just a little more. And now in front of the screen, Li Shang was watching Li Yaozu and the Chen family discussing business in the house. The Li family owned a large amount of herbs, monster materials, food, and even monster cubs. The Chen family has various resources, and they even own a chamber of commerce in the county. The Li family will soon obtain a large amount of resources to develop the family through this transaction. It didn't take long. The deal had been finalized and Chen Chuang was doing repairs at the Li family. As the snow fell, everyone in the Li family gathered in the ancestral hall. Even Li Delong, who was in seclusion, temporarily broke out of seclusion with a stubble on his face. The once-in-a-decade festival begins. Your family has sent you a large number of sacrifices. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.